All right, we are live. Welcome to the Soscast, episode 52, Soscast, where finance meets romance, right, Natalia? Sometimes I lead with romance, and you're like, no, it's finance first. Where finance meets romance, only here on Valuetainment, the #1 channel in the world for entrepreneurs. Shout out to everybody out there watching, listening, following, subscribing. We love you. We appreciate you. And we got an awesome show with lovely, smart, intelligent, capable women to educate the young men out there. I don't know if you guys know, but probably 95% of our audience are men between the ages of 21 and 35. Shout out to the youngsters. Shout out to the old guys if you're 40 like me. But we're here for you guys. Anyways, what we do here on the Soscast is we're here to help men improve, get better in life, okay? So we want to help you improve financially in the sexual marketplace and just win in life. What do we always say, Nat? We want to get them paid, laid, and do it their way. I almost said their way, your way. But we're here for you guys. This is what we do. We've had a whirlwind last month. Vegas, California. We did the event at the Vault. We flew to Spain. Me and PBD, Andrew Tate. We're going to be covering all that today. But before we cover all that, let's meet our amazing panel. And I want to get as much of Jen as possible right now because she may have to leave us an hour in. But let's introduce our panel. So Jen Herrera, Rebecca Barrett, Chelsea Krost. Did I say Krost?
You did.
Okay, but let's meet Jen first. So Jen.
Hi, Sauce.
Hi, Jen. She's one of the few women that still call me Sauce, okay? But I've known Jen since college. She was one of my best friends in college. Since then, she's killed it. She's on TV. She's been on NBC. She's a reporter, anchor. She's an author. She's a mom. She's a wife. All that and then some. What else?
I mean, I think you got it.
Did I get it?
Well, I'm kind of an Uber driver these days, to be honest with you. So we forgot to.
We got to go down to Candle Lords. We got some issues.
Yeah.
But Jen, it's great. I don't know the last time I've been saw you in person. We did a Zoom interview when COVID hit.
We did.
I was telling people to save that money.
Yeah.
Fill us in on what you got going on right now.
So I currently host a show on NBC6 here in Miami. It's called Six in the Mix, and it's a lifestyle entertainment show. I did news for 15 plus years, so it is a nice change of pace for me, especially where I am in life right now. I loved doing news. I covered big stories and I traveled a lot, but I missed a lot when my kids were little. I would be gone for 10 days, 14 days. And it came to a point where I was like, okay, what am I doing? Is it worth it? Took some time off, and then I got a call from NBC to host a show. I work part-time at NBC. It's perfect. I'm live on TV every day, so I'm doing what I love.
From home or from you?
No, I go to the studio every single day, so I'm there. But then I told the general manager when he called, I said, I want to be on TV. I want to be live. I want to tell good stories. I want to do a live show. I love live, everything live, but I want to pick up my kids from school every day. And he said, okay, we're going to make it happen.
It's a great deal.
Yeah, I know.
She told the general manager. It wasn't a request.
I think, and gosh, that probably sounds all sorts of ways, doesn't it? But I do think, I think you ladies would probably agree with me. You get to a point and you get to an age where you can say that and you can request that and you can say, this is what I'm going to do. If that doesn't work, cool. Right. No problem. And so, I don't like to use the word blessed because I think I worked for what I have now. But I am very blessed in other ways in life that I get to do what I love to do under the circumstances.
You've earned your status. All right. Yes. Well, it's great to see you in person.
Thank you.
So long. The stories from the keg parties and the parties.
We're
not going to go there. We're not going to. Okay.
We're professionals now.
Oh, my God. Well, you're a professional. I'm just pretending to be one on the internet. Anyway, Jen, I love you. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
For those of you that have been watching the Soscast for a couple of years now, it's on Valuetainment. You might recognize Rebecca Barrett. This is your third time on the show, I want to say.
Yeah.
Former boss babe, CEO. She turned into a housewife. She let it all go. Former feminist. Now she speaks out against feminist. Wife, mother. Anything else I forgot with that? Entrepreneur.
Yes.
What's new in your world?
My baby's 6 months. She's 6 months and she's the best. And yeah, life is pretty good. Slow. Everything's slow and easy and amazing. I love it.
Slow. Usually when there's a baby 6 months, I don't usually hear slow.
Yeah, it's like we're just in our groove. Yeah, we're in our groove.
Good. And what's your husband's name again?
James.
Shout out to James.
Shout out to James.
Thanks for letting Rebecca be on the show so often. I appreciate you. And I'm sure you're going to have some hot takes. Where's my contract? We got to sign this lady.
See? Listen,
last but not least, certainly not least, Chelsea Krost, personal branding expert. She's been on all over the TV. I mean, I want to get it right, but Forbes, Bloomberg, MSNBC, all the above. Also a wife and mother.
True.
Correct? How many kids?
1 kid.
1 kid. So you got one.
2.
Okay, 2. Exactly.
Yeah. Does, furry babies count?
You tell me.
Because maybe like 1.5.
You got a dog. Okay. And I met you. It was at I'll remember exactly. It was March of 2018, I want to say. Wow. And it was at a women's CEO panel, like a Boss Babe panel that my friend Sarah Kiba does in South Beach at the Raleigh in South Beach. And you were there. You were on the panel. You were one of the special guests there. And you were there with a very attractive lady who happened to be your mom. And I was like hollering at the mom. I was like, oh, hold on, what's going on here right now? And we did an interview together. And you crushed it. It was amazing. We've been in touch and following each other for years now. How's your mom doing?
She's doing great. She's totally embracing being a grandma.
Oh, she's a grandma. Hot grandma. Hi, grandma.
Hot grandma.
How we doing? Nice. Well, cool. And what are you up to these days?
It's amazing in talking to the ladies before we started working, but becoming a mom just changes everything, especially a working mother and priorities. And pre-pandemic, I was on the road every other week in 2019. It was a record-breaking travel year for work. I didn't even unpack my suitcase because it wasn't, even worth it. And upon becoming a mom, I did want to be more present. I did want to not be on the road all the time. And I really was passionate about getting deeper with my clients. I was seeing such a trend with all of my personal branding and business development clients that we needed to do so much work on themselves, their mindset, before we even could break through to all of the professional development. So I've always been interested in personal development, but I'm a month out from getting my NLP practitioner license, which is neuro-linguistics programming, which
everyone
is basically
knows neuro-linguistics
everybody.
programming.
No, everybody.
Come on, NLP,
it's like
NLP.
pass the salt, but it's funny that it's so foreign because it's the language of our brain, which we all have, and strengthening our motivation, decision-making strategies, how we go about thinking about everything, the thoughts in our head, the self-talk stories. So it's been amazing because all of what I'm learning is also so cool as a mother, raising children in this world that we live in today, let alone for myself as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a wife, as a mom, as a friend, and for my clients. So I would say that's the newest piece, a month out from the NLP practitioner license. Very excited. Can't wait to use it.
Love it. Shout out to all the NLPs out there. I mean, we got a huge NLP audience. And last but not least, I think she's the only person in the room other than me that doesn't have kids that we know about. Natalia Del Valle in the house.
I'm here.
Everyone's fan favorite. Everyone's got a crush on Natalia. Everyone in the chat. Give Natalia some love.
Yes,
Natalia,
give me some love.
what do
Give
you
me
want the
some
people to know? What do you want people to hear?
We take that, but I think I really want to get the good super chats. I really want some good questions. We have a really great panel up today, and I think that the men can really take advantage of the information we're going to get out here. And it's going to be very entertaining. So if you're not already, make sure you like the video, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, because just so you know, if you haven't kept up with Valuetainment for this week, you're missing a lot, and there's a lot going on. Yeah. So make sure you guys get to that, and I'm excited for this podcast. I'm ready to get this Soscast going.
So today we're talking with women. So you men out there understand how women think, and not just any old women. Very capable, responsible, professional, beautiful, amazing women. I can go on, but Jen's got to go soon. So
you can keep going.
I can keep going.
There's some more adjectives in there.
That's true. We can do it all. But so just so everyone understands, we ask this at the beginning of every show. So this is where finance meets romance. This is where money and relationships meet. So we start off with just basic stuff up front. We want to know your relationship status, family status, which we covered a little bit of, but we'll get clear on that. And then how you make money. Okay. So relationship status and career money. Go ahead, Chelsea, and we'll go this way.
I'm almost about to celebrate 6 years married to my husband, Jordan, which is, I can't believe 6 years. We've actually known each other since we were 12.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
So we really grew up together, and he was in my corner every aspect of my career. I started working in radio at 16, so a lot of, men could have been intimidated, and he was my biggest cheerleader, and still is. So that's amazing. So guys, if you want a girl who's badass, you got to be her cheerleader. You know, you got.
And what does Jordan do for work?
Real estate, hurricane impact windows, and he's an entrepreneur too. All into the Bitcoin, all into the crypto, all into investing.
Who spends the most time with the kid?
I would say we're really 50-50.
Wow.
We're very lucky that both of our parents live 10 minutes away. So we have a lot of grandparent help. But, he's equally dropping off and picking up as I am. And that's how our household runs, especially because we both provide for our household. And, I'm a very yes, I'm a woman. Yes, you're a man. But I don't really give a shit about gender roles.
Gotcha. So traditional gender roles is not the game you play.
No.
We ain't playing that game. Well, there's someone on the panel that might want to disagree with you. Rebecca Barrett, a self-proclaimed housewife. Rebecca, real quick, how do you make your money?
Oh, multiple ways. I like multiple revenue streams at all times. I'm a LinkedIn instructor, so I have 5 courses on LinkedIn Learning. That's great passive income after all the work is done.
Of course, upfront work.
One-on-one coaching clients, any brand ambassador work, speaking engagements, and social media.
Just a personal branding influencer extraordinaire. Respect. Rebecca.
Yeah.
Relationship status. Who's the boss in the family? How you make your money? Let's hear it.
Okay, so I've been married coming 2 years. We've been together 4 years to James, my amazing husband. Baby, obviously 6 months. And how I make money, YouTube, podcasting. I guess I'm a social media influencer.
Yeah, you are.
It's such a weird thing.
Creator.
Yes, creator. So, but my husband makes most of the money in our house, and I just do this for fun.
That's
shout out
nice,
to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, someone who doesn't just do it for fun as a career, Jen Herrera.
But I like that you do it for fun.
You've been in news for how long now? Give me your relationship status, work status, all that.
Okay, so I have been married almost 18 years.
What?
To my husband, Jason.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Jordan, James, and Jason.
Yes.
Wow.
Look at that.
And then there's
Wow.
Wow.
Regular old Sol, just standing out here doing his thing, looking for a J. Not that kind of J, ladies and gentlemen.
You'll find your Jen.
Yeah, you'll find your Jen.
That's true.
Jason's a firefighter for Miami-Dade County. He's been a firefighter about 20 years. We have 2 kids. They're 13 and 14. I don't know if I said that. 2 daughters. Our oldest just started high school, which is crazy. My oldest is almost the same age we were when we first met our freshman
18.
in college, which is nuts. I make my money. I'm a journalist, and I've been a journalist since I graduated college at 22. So I've worked for 2 networks down here. I did some freelance work in between. My primary income has come from that for all of these years. We also own a landscape design and install business. So firefighters have flexible schedules, and so we managed to build that. And I credit my husband so much with that because the TV industry is very fickle, and you are their top dog one day and you are not the next. And my husband saw that over the years, and so we started JW Landscape, and that is roles reverse. It's interesting. So I was the breadwinner at one point for quite some time early in our marriage. Now I would say he is, because he takes the primary role in the company, but it's a company that we run together. We are more of a traditional household. I do believe, I don't know if I want to call them gender roles, but I definitely do these stereotypical mom-wife stuff, and I love it. Like, I like to cook. I like to do the laundry. We were joking about being an Uber driver. I like taking my kids places, even if they roll their eyes at me and don't talk to me much these days because they're teenage girls. Yes. I like being in the car with them, and I like listening in. And my husband couldn't name any teachers that my children have probably since the 2nd or 3rd grade, but he's out there working. It's not because he's not interested. It's not because he doesn't value what they're doing. I'm in charge of the calendar, and I'm okay with that.
Firefighters get a little bit of a pass too.
Yes. Respect to the firefighters out there. Respect to the police out there. Blue Lives Matter and Red Lives. Is that Red Lives Matter? I don't know. I just made that up.
We'll start something new.
Hot firemen matter. Anyway, I had a bunch of questions just to kind of warm this thing up to get to know each other, but I want to get right into this thing, okay?
Okay.
So let's just jump right in. And by the way, we're going to be answering your questions at the end of the show. Whether Jen stays or not, we'll still stay for the rest of the show.
I keep checking.
If Jen's checking her phone, she's not being rude. She just wants to make sure that her kids are okay and that she's being a good mom, then she can stay. Anyway, let's get into it. So we had an event at the Vault the other day. It's our massive event. We had 2,000 people there, all sorts of speakers, famous people, all yada, yada, yada. And someone asked me, they said, what do you think the best balance of life is for a man and a woman relationship, and someone who is briefly engaged, not married. I was like, all right, let me think about it. And I had an epiphany. Maybe I had a couple too many cocktails. And I said, well, you know what? Life is the highway. And I think there's a song that. And the difference between men and women is that there's an exit ramp for women at some point if they want to have kids. I said, if you're a man, if you're driving down the highway of life, you just need to keep going. Sometimes you'll change lanes, right? Pivot careers. But for the most part, you're a dude, keep driving. As you ladies know, who all have kids, if you're driving down the highway, having your career, getting your thing going, chasing success, school, all that, at some point you're going to have to get off the highway and get some gas, aka have some kids, raise a family, the whole nine. So that was kind of the analogy I had for women. And then at some point, you got to get back on the highway. Like, so for instance, if you got a 6-month-old, that's a lot different than someone who's raising a kid who's about to be a freshman in high school. And how old are you?
15 months.
15 months. So you're in similar category. You guys are different. So there's a different, aspect of when to get back onto the highway. So my first question is to you, and I'll just open it up. Jen, we'll start with you. Okay. Is what is the appropriate work-life balance for women?
I don't know if you can say that's an appropriate work-life balance. I think it depends on everybody's situation. I'm not a single mom, obviously. So when I had kids, I had help. I also had family locally who could help. I had my kids very young. So I think your energy is different when you're young. My husband stayed home more when my kids were young. So I think, I just think it's so situational that I don't think we can say it's appropriate. It's interesting that you use that highway and ramp analogy. And maybe ignorance is bliss. I was 26, I think, when I had Mackenzie. I never thought of not getting back on the highway. You know what I mean? Like at that point in my life, I was so career driven and so career focused that it was like, I literally have a piece of paper that I could show if people don't believe me that says I'm going to have 2 kids before I'm 30. I'm going to be a main anchor. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to do this.
Manifest.
You wrote this all out.
Oh, I have it on a piece of paper. Yeah. Wow. Like I was.
Put it into the universe.
So it wasn't about me. I don't know if I would say getting off a ramp, maybe like pulling over for a little bit and then coming back on.
The scenic route.
Yeah, maybe the scenic route.
I like that.
Yeah.
Like that.
So I don't know if I would say appropriate. I think it just depends on the situation.
But if you're going to have kids as a woman, you're going to need to plan for this.
No, you're going to have to plan for it. And it's going to change your life and it's going to change your outlook. And it may not happen right away. Like I didn't have that aha moment, like, oh crap, what am I doing? Until my kids were like 4 and 5, where I was like, I am missing a lot. Like, don't get me wrong. I missed them horribly when I wasn't with them and the hours were crazy, but I didn't have that moment like, what am I doing? Until they're about 4 or 5 years old.
So I guess my question to you is as a career woman, fair to say, what percentage did you spend focusing on your career versus focusing on being a mom?
Early on, and I'm almost ashamed to say it, not that I did not love my kids more than life itself, but I was probably 60-40 career.
Okay.
Now you could take everything away and I wouldn't care. I would stay with my kids and I would make it work with my kids.
Really? So early 100%. When you were young and you were in your mid-20s when you started having kids, you were more career focused.
100%.
And now that you're
41, it's okay.
Jesus, Jen, you're looking good. What would you say the balance is now?
Oh, 90-10. 80-20.
In favor of the kids.
In favor of the kids. I make sacrifices every single day. I've made career sacrifices in these later years. It's weird to say.
Stop it, Jen.
I know, it's weird to say.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, and call it perspective, call it age. I don't know, circumstance. I was loyal to a fault initially in my industry. And there is something called, I consider being loyal to a fault. I don't regret it because it taught me so much, but it definitely changed my perspective.
Rebecca, you kind of have an opposite perspective on this because if I understand your story correctly, you were living in New York, I want to say, and you were 100% about your career. 100%. And you had an epiphany one day. You're like, what am I doing? I need to find a man. I want to have a family. I want to have a kids. And you found your man. You have a 6-month-old. Amazing. Where's your work-life balance right now? How much are you spending on family, being a wife, being a housewife, versus creating content, working, chasing success?
Yeah. So I would say right now it's 95% family, baby, husband, and I was off a little bit. And then 5% YouTube and everything else that I do. And what I try to do is I want the focus to be on my family. I want my whole life, I was focused on career. I was focused on being this billionaire entrepreneur and, you know, being on the cover of Entrepreneur magazine and Forbes magazine. And then, you know, I got onto some of those publications and I was like, wow, I raised money and my life is still, I'm still miserable inside, you know? And I think for a lot of women, they prioritize, you have like the 5-year, the 10-year plan, right, for your career. But then when you ask, what do you want in a husband? Do you want to have kids? Like, is that something that you're thinking about? I think a lot of women don't think about that. And I wish that more women would say, okay, I'm focusing on my career right now. I'm focusing on whatever it is, right? Working, getting my education. But I think women should have that level of foresight for what you want, because the same way you plan out your 10-year, like, I'm going to be this, I'm going to raise this amount of money, I'm going to, you know, do this many streams or whatever, you have to plan a little bit for your family and what you want. And
are you saying that most women don't plan out the family? They're more focused on their career?
Yes. And that's what I've seen. I've seen a lot of women, especially being an entrepreneur, a lot of women are like, okay, I'll just freeze my eggs at 35. Like, it's totally fine.
This is very common these days. And even companies are paying for women to freeze their eggs.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, but that's all fine and dandy. But also, it's a lot harder. I'm 33 years old. And I'm not saying that I'm a spring chicken, but sometimes I wish I had a baby earlier when I had more energy and when I had that stamina. Now I'm like coast, like I'm great. We're doing great. But, you know, you just want a little bit more energy. And I think that if women start understanding this and putting that into their brain, saying like, okay, I do want this career. However, I know I have to take the scenic route and then I can come back on the highway. Right. And I think that society is saying, especially for women, it's like, go get that degree, go chase this, go chase that. And it's fine, but there's also like marriage and children are slavery and marriage and children are a trap and don't do that. You don't want to focus on that. And I think that's messed up.
You're saying that's sort of the pervasive narrative out there that,
I think
that
that's
feminists are kind of pushing? What?
Yeah, I mean, I heard it all the time. Like, you don't need to worry about that right now. Like, just do whatever you're doing, and then a man will fall into your lap.
Yeah, doesn't necessarily work that way.
And like, I think it's a little bit different too, because I was single in New York, you know, just living the dating scene. You had your husband that you've known since you were 12, you know. So it's like, I think it's a little bit...
I've been married since I was like 12, basically.
You got married at what age?
24.
24. Wow.
Yeah.
So right after college. Wow. I mean, 2 years after. Boom.
Yeah. And so I think, you know, these days everyone's on Hinge and Bumble and Tinder. I think the dating landscape has also changed. And I was a part of that, like that transition from like, oh, okay, like everyone's on Tinder, everyone's on Bumble, everyone's on Hinge. And, you know, it's just like they think about it after the fact. They're like, okay, I'll just push it as far as I possibly can.
How'd you finally meet your husband?
At a work event.
In real life?
In real life.
IRL.
Yeah.
That works too.
Yeah.
Well, see, you're chasing your career, but
yeah. It was after my meeting with a manager at this place that I was trying to do business at. And he was there, and I was like, hi.
Got it. So let me summarize this. When Jen was getting starting in the news business, media, you were more 60-40 focused on career, 40% family to an extent.
I was very, yes. I mean, I don't want to, that sounds so bad.
No, I mean, listen, your kids aren't going to watch
but
this.
No, I was very career driven.
You were career driven.
Yes.
There's nothing
Rebecca,
wrong with that.
you were 100% focused on your career. Now you're the exact opposite, 95% family, 5%. So Chelsea, weigh in on this, because you said you've known your husband since you were 12, you were kids. You said you split time 50-50, raising the family, non-traditional gender roles. Where were you at work-life balance? How would you summarize that?
I feel like work-life balance for everybody is different definition, right? Like, so my definition of work-life balance, someone could be like, that's not going to work for me, right? So my definition of work-life balance was For example, I was on the road a lot. I was traveling a lot, and I didn't want to be that committed to being away from my family. So I rerouted. So putting more emphasis and energy on, part of my business that would not have me away from the family as much. More of my coaching, more of my LinkedIn courses. Right now, if I had to put a percentage on it, I feel like it's 7. I feel like sometimes it depends on the week as well. What's on the burner?
Yeah, that's true.
What client deadline or project am I working on? But I would say overall, there's a 60-40. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, especially because I work 4 days a week.
60-40 in what capacity?
I think
60% more work?
60
40?
family.
Okay,
40
60
work.
family.
Yes, my
Gotcha.
brain still is in very much. I had a newborn. I feel like he came out of me yesterday.
Yeah, we were
still.
just
So I still feel like I literally felt when he turned 1. I don't know how about. Well, you got 6 months, but I felt like at 1, I felt like okay, I feel like me again.
Yeah, it takes a while.
I started to feel like me again, and I started to feel motivated to be back at the computer hustling. I was not motivated right away. So I would say, if we were having this conversation, 6 months ago, it would have been more family time because I didn't have the motivation. But now it is a renewed motivation. I feel excitement again. My son is 15 months old. He's out of the blob phase, I call it. And so I would say 60-40, 60 for family, though, because my brain is in transformation. I mean, I just had a child, my whole family just evolved, and this transformation still feels like my wings are spreading. I don't feel like they're completely spread, but I would say that sounds healthy.
Makes
For me
sense. I
right
think
now.
a question that I have, and this is something, Rebecca, I know you can weigh in on for sure, are these concept of traditional gender roles. These days, not to get too political and too woke right now, how many genders are there out there? Who knows, right? Call me traditional, even though I'm not a conservative or traditionalist. I kind of think there's just men and women, and then, that's kind of it. But you said, I don't believe in traditional gender roles.
No.
You didn't say traditional genders.
Yeah,
I
traditional
want to kind
roles.
of get into this concept of traditional gender roles. Jen, who is a boss babe, working on the news, out there, she still said, yeah, I kind of more traditionalist. My husband's sort of the boss, right? Rebecca was a full-on feminist, shaved her head, wearing the vagina hats, the whole freaking thing.
Oh, I missed that.
Now she's gone, well, this was the last episode.
Wow.
Now she's gone complete 180. And
You
the
guys
husband's
didn't get that
husband's clearly the boss. Yeah, I found that out in the first show that you did. And you said that you're more 50-50.
Yeah.
Now, there's a common phrase in the manosphere where it's that men lead and women follow. And that's not basically subjugating women to a lesser class. It's that the man sort of is the head of the household and the woman is there to support the man. It's almost like the man is the CEO and the woman could be the CFO. She doesn't need to be the secretary. It's not dismissive, okay? But traditional gender roles, weigh in on this, Jen. Where are your thoughts at?
I think it depends on the situation, kind of how I mentioned earlier. And I think this goes into making a good marriage or a good relationship work. Like there are times when someone's going to be here and someone's going to be here, and then they're going to go back and forth. And I think that's okay. I think that if you are obsessed with being the best or making the most money, sorry if my mic is dropping here, I don't think that's a healthy relationship overall, right?
It's not healthy of what?
If you're like, okay, I have to be number one. I have to be the best. I have to be in charge. I have to make the most money. Like, I don't know, at least in my marriage, we've gone back and forth over the years. But I will say, like, when, how I mentioned TV is a very fickle industry. We went through, when I left the first station where I had been working for 15 years, it kind of came out of nowhere. Contract negotiations, they were looking for something different. And at that point, I had been making a majority of the money. My husband stepped up. Like my husband got that business. It was had already started, but got it going so that we didn't skip a beat. And when I saw that, I was just like, okay, cool. Like you're going to take care of me no matter what. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Like I don't.
Did you become more attracted to your husband?
You literally just
100%.
changed your face. You're
Listen, and he's a firefighter, so he was
on.
already hot. All right? But when he allowed our life to not skip one beat, I was you kind of like fall in love, respect everything all over again. So yeah, he's the head of the household, and I'm okay with that. Like, I have no problem saying that. It doesn't take away from anything that I do every day or anything that I've accomplished, or I don't feel lesser than him. But yeah,
do you think women today, modern day women, working women, feminists, if you want to go there, have a hard time saying, yes, the man is the head of the household? Just saying that phrase, is that palatable to them?
I think some people.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it depends on the woman.
I think
I would never say that.
You would never say what?
That my husband's the head of the household.
That's something you wouldn't say?
No.
And you don't feel like that emasculates your husband?
No, because... No, I really don't. And we've had this conversation between him and I as well.
Sorry, Jordan, we're putting this out.
Yeah.
Jordan, if you're watching.
And you know, I think all of our friends and family would totally understand this, and how him and I operate is we're a team. And to me, that's what marriage is. You are partners in life.
Yeah, no doubt.
So,
I'm not going to push back on that. You are partners, but at some point, like, there needs to be, like, who makes the final decision, right?
We do.
It's just it's not like, all right, the buck stops here. It just doesn't work that way.
No, there's never been one decision that he said, Chelsea, this is happening, or I've said, Jordan, this is happening. Everything is a collective conversation. We go through pros and cons. We run it by each other. Sometimes we'll run it by people that we trust, and we make decisions together. And that's just always how we've operated. So I think for someone to be like the more dominant one would just not be our thing.
So when you hear this phrase, men lead, women follow, that doesn't fit you?
No.
Is it kind of like you want to throw up in your mouth a little bit when you hear that?
I am very open to however people find their happiness and their groove in their household, in their marriage, with their family. I think that we love to put things in a box. We love to label things. We love to put, boundaries on everything, and you can't go out. But fluidity is nice too, to not have such hard structure, because life is life. There's a lot of unexpected things. There's highs, there's lows, there's sickness, there's health. So sometimes someone has to step up. Sometimes the other person has to step up. Sometimes you have to lead together. Sometimes one of you literally, is just more tired, whatever it might be. Life happens. And I think if you can be the partners for each other, then you have each other's back in whatever stage of life, phase of life, challenge you're facing together.
Do me a favor. Can we do a poll? Can we see the chats? Let's put a poll up there. Let's ask our audience, who should be the head of the household? Put the man, or depends on the situation. Is that fair? I don't want to make this like a man or versus woman, right? And fucking the man.
I will say,
depends on the situation. Is that fair? Is that a fair
situation? I was going to say, if a woman is choosing to run the home, take care of the children, not bring in any income, and the man is bringing in all the income, I think that there's a difference in power roles there. Income. I do believe that.
Okay. Is that how it works in your household? You said, honey, James, you're the boss. I'm going to raise the kid. I'll do the family. You have the final say. How does it work?
Yeah, that's basically
That's it. End of question. All right, guys, show's over. That's it.
No, but I understand what she's saying, right? Where it is a team. My husband's the CEO. I'm the COO. I'm the operations manager. Okay, but I think that this is how I put it. The husband's the head, the woman's the neck. You can't turn the head without the neck.
Yes.
Right? So we are working towards the same goals. We are working on the same team. And my marriage counselor, my premarital counselor said all the time, it's like, you guys are like, if you are beating each other up, it's like beating up the car that you drive. You look like an idiot because you're beating up your own car. Like, you're slashing your own tires.
What do you mean beating each other up?
Like, beating, like, with words. And
I didn't mean like physically, but give me some examples. Like, you mean as far as who is the boss, traditional roles, who's got the final say? What does that mean?
Just tearing each other down. Like, the respect aspect is so important, especially for men. And so when I talk to my husband, it's all like, and I know his love language. And I think that's very important for people to understand their partners, their spouse's love language. My husband's love language is words of affirmation. So I know that I'm breathing life into him. And I think that as a woman, that's such a powerful thing that we have that ability to inspire men. Just like what Jen said, I was like, oh, like, that's so hot, right? Like, because that's something that's intrinsic to us as men and women. We desire our man to be there, to be that strong man in the forefront, right? If someone broke into my house and held us at gunpoint, my husband didn't do anything, he whimpered behind me, I'd be like, I'm divorcing this man.
In a second,
because that's
I'd be like, go out there with them.
Yeah, I was like, that's our daughter and me. Like, if he's running behind me and expecting me to figure it out and to deal with it, we're done. Okay, because that just proves this man doesn't have any balls.
Well, let's use that as a metaphor for common times. Do you think that's a problem, that men are basically lacking balls these days? Is there something about society basically propping up women?
It's the
and lessening
feminization.
Men?
It's the men. There is a problem. The problem is that men are becoming more effeminate, and that's because of how society has positioned it to be. You know, and I was a former feminist. I know all the talking points from, you know, the hardcore feminists. And, you know, I think that building up women is not a bad thing. I think women should be empowered. I am pro women. However, I'm not women putting men down.
No.
And I think that today, that's the narrative. That's what modern feminism is today. It's misandry. It's putting men down, putting them to the corner. We don't need men. I can, you know, have a baby from stem cells and whatever. No. No. And if that continues to be the narrative, men are not going to want to show up. Because I think men at this point are done with dealing with these hardcore women that they're facing today. If you can't even open a door for a woman and she says thank you, or that's misogyny or whatever, that's a load of crap.
Well, don't most women, it's almost like, you know, there's the majority, the silent majority, and then there's a vocal, very small minority, we'll call that feminists. I think most women want men to be gentlemen and open the door and treat women like chivalrously and pay for dates and show respect, like bring I feel like women still want that, but there's a small segment of society that's like, I don't need no man, you can't tell me what to do.
And it's almost like wrong for women to want that sometimes. Like the impression is that it's not okay for a woman to want that.
By who creates that?
I don't know if it's the majority, minority, I don't know, but I know that it's society. A lot of what you see and you hear, and it's like the fact that I like to cook for my husband every single night. Like,
but who complains about that? Other women.
Other women.
Oh, you want to cook for your man? It's like,
yes, I love him and I want to make him dinner. So what? I make him sandwiches every morning, like for lunch. I make him his lunch. I make him his breakfast. I make him his dinner. I like it, and I think that a lot of women like it. I think a lot of women like it.
You're saying you like to do that as well?
I do. I love taking care of my husband because he takes care of me.
Yes. Exactly.
So, and I love taking care of my husband too.
Yeah.
I love cooking. I don't love doing laundry.
I don't love doing laundry.
But I do the laundry.
Okay, so from 3.
But he has his roles in the house too.
What are his roles?
He will do the dishes.
Okay.
He will fold laundry. I will do laundry. And again, these are interchangeable.
Yeah. Chelsea, if your husband came home one day and he said, Chelsea, that's it. I just realized something. I'm the freaking man. I make money. I do my thing. Here's the deal. You're going to take care of the house. You're going to take care of the 15-year-old. Laundry, dishes, cleaning, 15 months, right? That's it. I'm putting my foot down. All right? And where's my dinner? How would you respond to something like that?
That I would throw up.
But that's not okay.
It just doesn't fit you at all. It's just not who you are. It's not your DNA.
No.
Okay. And he would never say something like that.
And
anyway.
he would never say. He would crack up and be like, that would just never fly. That, truly, for any single man listening right now, you might have an idea of how your wife is going to be, your marriage is going to be, how your home is going to be run, but it is all dependent on the partnership. Who you meet, how she was raised, what her values are, what she's comfortable doing and not comfortable doing. Is she working? Does she make her own money? All of those variables are going to play such a huge role in your relationship and how you guys operate. And you nailed it. It's men tend to be the head. They have a head, right? You're dominant in heads. But the women are the neck. I think we have the emotional intelligence and the empathy that's just a little more polished and heightened than men. And I think that's where the neck really comes into play a lot, as well as even just logistics and multitasking. But I do believe that gender roles are, your definition is different than everybody else's definition, and it doesn't matter what you think, depending on who you meet later in your life or tomorrow, that's going to shape the entire dynamic of your marriage.
Let's play a game real quick. I want to have fun with you guys. I like the direction we're going. Rebecca, I want to start with you, and then Jen,
great.
and then Chelsea. I pretend that the most hardcore feminist is watching this show right now, and she's just like, I can't believe these women, what they're talking about. You have 30 seconds.
Oh, no.
And I would like you to spit some game, some knowledge to the most hardcore feminists out there that's saying that I don't need a man, I don't need anything like that, I'll do it myself. What don't they understand?
Life gets easier. I know this sounds weird. Life gets so much easier. The stress that I had, the weight that I carried as an entrepreneur, as a woman in the, like, just, crushing it, all of that stuff, boss babe, whatever, you feel lighter. You feel lighter. I'm at peace. I don't have to do anything. I say what I want here, right? Like, I say what I want on the internet. My husband supports me. I support him. It's wonderful. I'm not stressed. I'm not on antidepressants. I'm not on anxiety medication. I don't drink to cope. Like, that's what I used to do.
You're in a good marriage.
I'm in a great marriage, but I think a lot of it too is that I don't have the weight of being, I need to produce, I need to be, I need to go, no, I can just relax.
Like, as you're talking, I feel like a
We
deep
sound like
sigh.
that.
I'm like, damn, I'm not even gay, but I might need a husband out there. I want to feel good.
And it's great. Like, my husband was like, go treat yourself. Like, he puts me on the credit. It's nice. It's nice.
That feels good.
And here's the thing. A lot of people say, oh, you can't do it. You have to have two incomes. We live primarily on one income, and we live an amazing life.
Yeah.
We have everything that we need. We're never lacking. We have the life that we want. And I think that if you really want that, you have to make sacrifices. You're not going to spend it on Gucci, Prada. Well, I have the Gucci suit. But, like, you're not going to spend it on, like,
all the time.
Got it. Makes
all
sense.
the time, right? You're not going to spend the things on all the time. You're going to have to make sacrifices, right? I'm a really big saver. My husband's the spender. I'm the saver. So I'm constantly making dinner conscious meals. I'm making sure that, like, I'm conscious of what we're buying, what we're making, all that stuff, right? But as a woman, you just feel lighter. You're just like, oh.
I feel the lightness. I don't know if you guys feel it.
Very
All right,
zen.
Jen, Mrs. Jen Herrera, go ahead. Talk to talk to the feminists out there who
Listen.
say they don't need a man. Go ahead.
And that's fine. Feminists, you be you. I have no problem with that. I'm very like that. I think everybody should be whoever they want to be, say whatever they want to say, have their belief system. But I'm going to have my own too. And I just think the word feminist is misused a lot, and it comes with a different connotation than it should. And I hope that nobody looks down on me if there is a feminist out there, because, I mean, I do a lot and I've worked for a long time, but I still want to be a traditional, whatever traditional means. Like, I don't even know what that means anymore. And
It's
take
modern traditional.
and take on those roles. I will admit, I stayed home for like 3.5 years and I almost lost my mind. So I'm not that person. I cannot do that. I admire, like we were talking earlier, you said just a stay-at-home mom. No. Like, stay-at-home moms.
Yeah. Big job.
Phenomenal. And if
You can't just say just to stay at home. Just stay at home.
home.
Put some respect on the end of that. Is
put
what
some
you're saying.
respect on the check. Yes, because that is a big one. But no, I just would say everybody be you, but then don't judge anybody else who's not a feminist and who maybe doesn't want to be so extreme with some of those decisions, and who's okay with their husband, being the head of the house, if that's what we're saying.
It's kind of hard these days for people to show respect and not judge. It's just that's not part of society.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, I do me, you do you.
Yeah. Well, that's part of social media. You used to not know what people are doing. Now you can get on there and get hated on. Chelsea, your turn to play the game. The feminists are looking at you. They're like, all right, Chelsea Krost, tell them why they're wrong.
What are they saying?
They're just saying that you don't need a man. You don't, you can do
You
it
don't need a
yourself. All that fun stuff. The talking points of feminism that Rebecca so eloquently pointed out.
You know what I really would love to have a conversation with someone who believes that they don't need a man or that they don't need a partner? Why? Why? What does having a partner or a man in your life not allow you to do? And if they're not allowed to be them, do them, have their career, make their own money, have their, friends, girls' night, girls' trips, all right, well, that's not your man, right? So I would want to have that conversation with you. Why do you not want to have a man? Why do you think it's less than for someone to be in a partnership and rely on somebody? I don't think, again, and if you want to live your life alone, that's your choice. I think that there's usually a reason for why somebody wants to be alone, because they're scared of being hurt or been hurt before. And then, I would say, how can we work on healing that wound?
Got it.
And please don't judge my life.
No, I love you because that's such a coach. Like, you're like,
I'm like inspired. I'm like, yeah.
That would be my genuine reaction.
Natalia, before I turn it over to you to give your little spiel, I have one more question, and it has to do with, okay, so we did the game. Jen, you look great for 41.
Thank you.
I can't believe it. I met you when we were 18. I'm gonna cry.
I know.
Rebecca, you said you're 33.
33, yeah.
Chelsea, are you 30 yet?
31.
You're 31. Okay. And Nat, you're 25.
21, yeah.
21?
21?
I like how you just slid that in there.
So what I want to know is this, because I tell this story all the time, and it was like an epiphany to me where it was on my 40th birthday. You've known this story before. We were having a big party, bodega, South Beach, whatever, doing our thing. And my boy Miguel shows up, and he's like, yo, Saz, what up? 40, you're the man, bro, pimp. You're making money. I'm at your bar. I see you're doing your thing on social media. You're the man, bro. What's up? Type of thing. I'm like, yo, respect, Miguel. Thank you, bro. And he goes, oh, shit, is that Laura over there? I go, yeah. He goes, what's up with Laura? Laura used to be like a hot girl we grew up with. I said, she's doing her thing. Who's she here with, bro? She's single, I think. She's not married, bro? No. Any kids? I go, no, I don't think so. He's like, she's 40, single, no kids. Damn, that's fucked up, Laura. And I was like, damn. Like, okay. And it set in. I was like, Adam, 40, single, pimp.
Yep.
Right.
Laura, single, 40, depressing. Okay. And that was a big thing for me where it was like, okay, men and women are built different.
Yes.
Like, I could still go out and have a family any second I want and have kids, and I do want that, and I'm working on that, right? So referrals, please, if you're. But a 40-year-old woman can't necessarily do that exact same thing, biologically speaking. So down the age line, how many of our friends, your friends, growing up Fort Lauderdale, are 40-ish and not married, no kids? What percentage?
Maybe 5%.
5%.
Yeah, most are married.
Okay. So 95% married, kids, that whole thing.
Yes.
Okay, so that 5%.
Yes.
What's going through their mind right now?
I mean, I don't want to speak for anybody, but I imagine, and I don't know, but I would imagine it's very difficult to see your close friends in happy relationships and happy partnerships with healthy children. I imagine that has to be difficult for those who I know want it. Right. Now, I know some people who don't want it.
Yeah.
That's okay too. I've never had a heart-to-heart about it because I think that's something very private, unless they want to have the conversation. But yeah, I imagine it's difficult.
Yeah, and then there's a saying in the let me get to the saying in a second. Rebecca, as a 33-year-old, go ahead, break it down. You're saying 95% married, happy kids, boom. Yeah. 5% not, and it's a difficult conversation with them. What about your 33-year-old friends in your age bracket?
It depends on where you live. It depends on where I live. My New York friends, my former friends, a lot of them, I would say 10% are married.
So 90% still out there working, hustling, doing their thing.
30s and 40s. A lot of them froze their eggs. A lot of my entrepreneurial friends froze their eggs. It was a decision that they made. A lot of them are still dating and in the dating world. The friends that I have here, I would say 90% are married with children. But that's also who I surround myself with. I want to be with other women who have children and stuff like. I think it's different too, right? I think you mentioned something about this. When you're single, you don't want to be around married people. You don't want to. You don't want to be, especially if you're single and you have friends that are married with kids. That's like such a deal. Like, people don't want to be around that. You're like, the kids screaming, blah blah. I used to do the eye rolls to my friends who had kids, so I know, just speaking firsthand, I see a lot of I would see a lot of people, give the looks. Oh, screaming baby, she has to go.
That's how I feel about friends with little kids now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like once you have teenagers, you want to be around your friends with teenagers because they understand what they're going through. So, single people, you primarily stay with single people. Married, no kids. It evolves. You change over time.
But you're saying your friends up in New York predominantly still out there working, doing their thing. Yeah. But down here in South Florida.
Well, in Orlando.
It's in Florida. It's sort of reverse.
Yeah.
Okay. So walk me through the fate that you think are going to happen for these working women in their mid to late 30s in New York.
I've already seen it, and I would have these conversations with them. A lot of them obviously want kids. They want to be with someone, and unfortunately, many of them are very combative and just don't want to relinquish control over everything.
Combative about what exactly?
Literally anything. Like, I don't know, the way you take the trash out, the way you do laundry, the way you do, like, everything is a problem.
Yeah. Well, a term that they use, especially in the Manosphere Red Pill community, you're very familiar with this, is that I want a woman who's compliant. Compliant. I'm like, what's compliant? What are your thoughts on this?
The compliant thing is not, I don't say that. I think that's
But I know weird. You don't say that, but men say that.
Yeah, I think compliance is completely different. That means that you want to control that person.
Just want a yes wife.
And if you want a yes wife, there are women that are completely like that.
We had 3 women shaking their head.
I think this has a lot to do with, sorry to interrupt, the age in which people are getting married now.
Yeah.
So when I got married at 24, I grew up with my husband married. So, our first of so many things, buying a house, car payments,
IKEA marriage,
getting jobs, losing jobs, like, that's some big stuff that a lot of people now by 35 or their late 30s or 40s when they're getting married, they've already experienced that alone. Yes. So there's almost like this extra independence and guardance or something where, we were like, what? Escrow? What's that mean?
Let's figure it out together.
We figured it out together.
Well, Chelsea, you have to do the same thing. You said you're 31, you've been married 6 years, you got married when you were 25.
25, yeah.
Okay.
Which is, I never thought I would get married that young either. Because I had, I'm busy, I got things to do. And the whole compliant thing really just threw me through. I was like,
your brain wasn't registering to that.
I was like, I want to meet a man that wants a compliant woman, and then we got to talk. Yes. So what was the question? Because of the compliant thing. I was like, whoa, I never heard that before.
The percentage.
Oh, yeah, okay, so you're 31.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, most of my friends are married with children.
Down here? Because you live in Fort Lauderdale? Where
I live in Delray Beach. Originally from New York, so I have so many friends that land in New York, California. We lived in California for 5 years too. And location is like kind of irrelevant with my people, but I would say that I think the difference between the pimp and the sad 40-year-old, the male pimp and the sad 40-year-old woman is because of biology. Like, our biological clock is ticking. The OBGYN loves to remind you that at 35 it is like hard, after 35
your eggs are old.
Your eggs are old. Like, this is what we're being told.
Is that what the you said the
OBGYN. Like, that's what the doctor.
They're saying 35. What do they tell you exactly?
Your eggs
you
are
should
old.
freeze your eggs at 35 if you.
That's the number they tell you.
If you have no prospects,
gotcha. Because I'm thinking of the Marissa Tomei, my cousin Vinny. I'm 30 years old. My biological clock is ticking.
Yeah.
But at 35, that's the number where you're like, yeah, if you want to have a kid,
Well,
the X.
you could have children, of course, post 35, but once you're 35 and older, you're already like more of a high risk pregnancy.
It's termed a geriatric pregnancy after 35.
Geriatric
Which just
at
sounds
35.
way too AARP for me.
Yeah, it's-
Yes.
Well, here's the problem, and this is kind of, and I get this is again, our show is geared towards men, but I want to know what our friends out there to understand the mindset of a woman, because I always put I have a sister. My sister's 1 year younger than you, right? So she's turning 40. And if my sister's been married for 10, 12 years, not to put her business out there, I'm always like, stay with your husband, all right? Like, lock it in, all right, chick? Because if my sister was out doing what I'm doing in the clubs, still out there, I'd be like, get your ass, like, go. So there's like a part of me that's like, I want women to be happy and I want women to understand what their future's going to be, because I don't want that to end up like, Laura, it's kind of sad situation, because I think that women, for the most part, do want to have a family, do want to have kids, do need a man, do need all that kind of stuff like that, because it ain't fun being alone for the rest of your life. I can guarantee you that. But here's the problem that I think that women don't understand. And there's another phrase in the red pill manosphere community, and it's alpha fucks, beta bucks, or for our PG-13, it's that alpha lays, beta pays. So what does that mean? That women want the big, strong men that take care of stuff, and that's who they're sexually attracted to. But at some point, traditionally, they said, well, I can't land that guy, but I also want to be taken care of, so I'll go with more the, balding accountant type, whatever, not to put a, name and place on it, but at least he'll take care of me, and I'll be taken care of, right? So he's more the beta role, but at least, I'll be taken care of. Women today are saying, you think I want to be with the beta? I'll make my own money. I'm good.
Yeah. Unless
I can land that top tier man, that high value man, I'll just be single and I'll figure it out myself, and I'm not going to settle. That's what you hear a lot of women. Yeah, I'm just not going to settle. I'm just not going to settle. I'm not going to settle. I'm not going to just settle for this. I'm not going to settle. I don't need a beta guy. I don't need this guy. I'll make my own money. But that's fine when you're 25 or even when you're 30 or when you're 35. But the next thing you know, you're encroaching 40 and you're like, maybe I should have settled.
Yeah.
No, you're saying no.
Never settle.
Never settle?
Not for anything.
So would you rather be, settled in a marriage, kids, and maybe it's not like your dream husband, but at least you can build something towards your dream life because you made some concessions. Or I ain't settling. I don't give a shit unless I'm with, Christian Bale or The Rock or whoever, some man, Matthew McConaughey. I'm not marrying this guy, and I'd rather be 40 and single and God happy.
I think you have to have very realistic expectations, but most importantly, I think it's about what you put out there. So if you put out, I do believe in this, like a certain energy, or you have standards for yourself, or you put yourself in certain situations, you're more likely to meet a certain type of person. I am like the most anti-settle person in the world. That's like a trigger word for me. Not really, but I'm just saying.
Jen's like,
no.
She's like ticking.
I'm like, don't say it, Saz, don't say it. No, I do not think anybody should ever settle. I think a woman is perfectly fine at 40-something years old, holding out, if, again, she's doing everything she can to be her best version of herself.
Yeah, but okay, I'm going to give you pushback a little bit.
Please,
okay,
please.
40, all right, okay, you didn't settle. But what happens when she's 52?
No,
And she never settled, and she stuck to her guns.
Then
I ain't going to do it. And she's there, 52 years old, and she's got 7 cats, and she's like, I wish I would have just kind of settled a little bit.
It's not for me. That's what I'll
Well,
say to that.
that's easy when you're a hot chick who landed a hot 24-year-old firefighter. You didn't settle. But that's what I'm talking about, 40-year-old friends out there.
As the mother of 2 daughters, I hope they never settle. I will say that. I hope they never settle.
I'll take a husband and kids any day of the week. I would.
You would, quote unquote, settle a little bit.
Yeah.
Even if
that was me, if I was in that situation, I would.
Yeah, because remember that breath of fresh air that Rebecca blessed us with?
Yo, I'm not kidding. It is amazing. And here's the thing.
Everyone needs a wife like Rebecca.
Even if he's not the the man that you aspire to, as a woman, our biggest superpower is the fact that we can inspire men to be better.
Yes.
And so if let's say you meet him and he doesn't work out, whatever, you inspire him to work out. You inspire, men make more money. Men can make a ton of money if a woman says, baby, I support you. You're this, that, and the third. I love you, blah, blah. I'm here behind you. That man that you settled for can be the man that you would like, that high value man that you would love to be with.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Okay.
Because
Chelsea, last word on
better
this
than-
on this segment
Yeah,
before we move on.
I think there's categories of where we're settling. Are we settling because they're bald? Are we settling because they
My biggest fear in life right there.
because they're in debt? Are we settling because they don't really make as much money as you want? Are we settling because they're just not Brad Pitt? So there's detail that's needed there, but I do think that what's the divorce rate? It's crazy.
50%, right?
Yeah.
It's
so
higher than that.
Why are you settling just to probably end up getting divorced and
Great point.
and complicate more
Great
things?
point.
Right.
Great point.
And there are plenty of 50s and 60-year-olds out there finding the man and woman
That's
of their
true,
dreams.
but they can't have kids.
They can't.
I don't know.
Or you can.
Clearly, I want to have kids at
Or
some
you
point.
can.
So.
Or you can have
You
kids.
adopt.
You adopt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Surrogacy.
If
There's
we
a
know
way.
anything about Chelsea, she ain't being put. You don't put baby in a box over here. You don't put baby in a corner. You don't put her in a box. She's gonna find a way. That's it. All right. Before we move on to our next thing, I want to talk about our trip that we were just on. Natalia,
Yes.
do you want to read anything? Any chats? Not questions. Any comments? Anything? Now's your time.
Super chats.
Go
We've got
ahead.
3 super chats. So we've got.
We'll do
first-
questions at the end. If there's comments, go now.
Okay, so I'll do the comments first. I have one by Nas,
Oh,
009.
subscriber.
Yeah?
Yeah.
250, thank you.
$250.
He
Nas, thank you. I'm gonna go out drinking with that money later.
He said, shout out to Rebecca and James and to all of you.
Thank you, Nas.
And then we had Scott Rodriguez. He said, hey, Adam, it's Scott from PBD. I sent Pat the World War II backpack. I'm 36. My wife is 32 and have been together for 15 years. She's been doing OnlyFans since 2020. Rebecca's face. We would love to be on the show. Maybe talk about relationship. We have 2 kids and a great
Sick.
family.
Natalia, send him how to email and get in contact with the show. I do remember the World War II
Yes,
backpack.
I
Respect,
do too.
Scott.
Awesome. And then we got one more by Zen Tenants.
Oh, yeah.
$50. And he said, at 30, over 90% of women's eggs are not viable. At 35 plus, the generic pregnancy refers to the uterine viability irrespective of how anyone feels about it. At 40 plus, genetic and physiology dangers increase. Failing to plan means you're planning to fail. So those were some of the super chats we had.
Thank you for the reminder.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then those were the super chats we had so far.
Right? You hear it tick, tick, tick.
Okay, let's get into a topic that I definitely want to get you guys to weigh in on. I'm going to probably set it up with a very detailed story of how we got into this, and that is the story of Andrew Tate. Natalia, as you know, we've had a very busy month here at Valuetainment, the month of August. We had our, I was out in California for my friend's wedding.
Yeah.
Kelly Olynyk got married, NBA, sick, awesome. From there, I went to Vegas for the big PHP event. Patrick Bet-David sold his company. We had an amazing event.
Yes.
Shaq, who else was there? Shaq, Layla Ali, Penn and Teller. Amazing event. And then we had the Vault, amazing. 2,000 of our Valuetainers were there, amazing, here in South Florida. Awesome. Chaz Palminteri, Kevin Connolly, Frederick Da Silva did his thing. Andrew Fastow. We just had an awesome event here. So we're gunning and gunning, and we look at the calendar and say, oh shit, we are flying to Madrid tomorrow to go interview the most controversial man on the planet, Andrew Tate. Where are we staying? I don't know. Where are we doing the interview? I don't know. Has anything been figured out? No. Are we doing this? Yes. So we had a group discussion. What do we have figured out so far? You've got flights. Boom. Team, get on the flight. We're doing the damn thing. Okay? Shout out to Eric. Shout out to Mav. Shout out to Kai. PBD came the day later. I said, guys, I'm going to step up. Here's the deal. Number 1, the flights are booked. Okay, number 2, let's book the nicest hotel in Madrid for Pat, 4 seasons, lock it in. When we book Pat's hotel, then we'll book where we're going to stay adjacent to that. So we book Pat's hotel, check. All right, let's get our hotels from there, check. Boom. The only thing to figure out is where we're going to do this interview with a man who a lot of people don't want to see be doing interviews, okay? So what I said was like, look, here's what because we're going to fly out on a Monday. The interview's on a Thursday. I said, listen, I've never been to Madrid. I don't know where the hell we're going to do the interview. You might be thinking, how the hell have you not planned this out? Again, we've been running and gunning for a month right now. I said, guys, listen, here's what I know. Madrid's a metropolitan city. It's a big city. If you dropped me off in Miami Beach and South Beach and gave me 3 days to find a location, you gave me 10 grand to find a budget, I'd go to every bar, lounge, cigar, restaurant, everything. We'll find a place. Let's get on the flight. We'll figure it out when we get there. Boom. So as the team knows, we are literally running around Madrid, looking at every rooftop, bar, nightlife venue, cigar lounge, and we're saying, hey, we need to do an interview here. They're like, this isn't built for interviews. We've got this amount of money. Well, okay, we're open to this. So finally, after searching and scouring and just basically running around the streets, we found an awesome cigar lounge, private, the most elite cigar lounge in all of Madrid. Shout out to this place.
How did
we won't
you
say the
score
name.
it, Adam?
How did I score it? Well, let's just say that the lady that ran the bar, her name was Rebecca. And Rebecca and I developed a friendship.
Became friends.
We became friendship. Let's just say I have a new esposa in España right now. So shout out Rebecca if you're watching. And I, some say that I had to take one for the team. Some say that I had to, Rico Suave it up. Needless to say, we secured the venue for half the budget that we were allotted, if not less than half the budget, saved a lot of money, secured it was our number one venue that we wanted, and we figured it out. So anyway, with that being said, we were running all over town. We got to Madrid. We got the venue. Shout out to Rebecca. Shout out to the team. Pat shows up the next day, and he's like, this is awesome. Great job, guys. We're like, yeah, no problem. No sweat whatsoever. Everything was figured out. So we did it. We got to Spain. We got to Madrid. We did this interview with Andrew Tate, which we're going to talk about right now. It was a 5-hour interview. It's the most viral thing on the internet right now. In the last 48 hours, I want to say, how many million views does it have right now? 2.5 million views.
About to be 2.
That is massive. Just so you understand, on YouTube, to get over 2.5 million views in that short of time is a big thing. If you have not seen this Andrew Tate interview, wow, you have to see this thing. Like him, love him, hate him, disgusted by him, watch the interview, decide for yourself. What I would say is there's a lot of people that messaged me and said, dude, I had no clue who this guy was. Wow, I'm impressed. Or I said, dude, I hated that guy before the interview. He's actually a pretty likable guy.
Yeah.
Or actually, I was unsure about that guy. Now I'm sure about that guy. So controversial figure. And let me tell you something about this guy. He deserves all the credit that he's received. Smart, capable, badass dude. Whether you agree with him or not, the guy deserves the status that he's at. With that being said, that's the story. We're going to show you a 1-minute intro, and then we're going to have a conversation about this guy, Andrew Tate, the most viral man on the planet right now. Do we have volume on this thing?
It's on. I just got to make sure it's
let's
good
do
in the
this
back.
thing.
So I'm going to play it. You guys got it?
The masculine youth of the world, thinking for themselves. That's pretty scary to authority.
Biggest fatal mistakes any man or human being can make.
To chop my head off and try and delete me is asinine in and of itself. Another thing, I'll give the game away. Here's your piece of cake. Do I get canceled again, Logan?
You're saying a call like that was made?
100%. The dude's a bitch.
Lady of yours that you introduced to us yesterday said, this is my wife. I don't even know if I'm convinced you want to have 5 wives.
And that's a very astute observation, and you are correct. But I won't believe in it. I don't want to believe in things that make me weak.
Awesome.
Most famous man on the internet.
Keep going, actually. Let's see the first 30 seconds of the actual interview if we can.
From the internet.
So today's sit-down is a sit-down many of you have been asking about.
Go
for
to
a
where
while.
he introduces,
We finally pulled it off.
Andrew.
There's been no conversations of what we can't talk about.
Go to,
He said nothing to him. Today's guest is Andrew Tate. Many will call him possibly the most popular man on social media the last 6 months. Nearly 20 billion views on all social media. The most searched man on social. We were looking at the list. We put up Biden, we put up Trump, we put up Putin, we put up everybody, and he was up there. Some periods he was above everybody else. And recently he got banned in late August. I think the 3rd or 4th week of August, he got banned late August. And at that time, from June to July, his Instagram account was growing at 100,000 followers, new followers on a daily basis, on track to get to 10, 20, 40, 50 million followers on Instagram. Suddenly like this, he gets banned. Everybody's wondering what happened. Some had positive thoughts about it. Some didn't have positive thoughts about it. We'll get into that as well. But Tate, appreciate you for making the time in. It's good to be spending.
Keep going.
These few hours with you.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here, guys. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
So let's get right into it.
All right, so we'll get right into it. So boom, and that's where he asked a question about how does it feel to be banned? Okay, so you're talking about a man who, whether you agree with him or not agree with him, do you think someone like Andrew Tate should be banned from all social media? And just to put it in perspective, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Meta, Instagram, Discord, and then it didn't stop there. He got banned from Airbnb, Uber, okay? Banks, credit card processing, Stripe. They basically, in unison, the matrix that he calls, the people that are running the planet said, turn this guy off. Have you ever heard of this guy before this?
No, I haven't. I feel like I live under a rock.
Really? Have you ever heard of this guy?
Yeah.
Of course you have. Have you ever heard of this guy?
I've heard of him, but I do not know his whole story.
You do not know his whole story.
Yes.
Anyway, he's a very, he believes in, here's what I'll tell you he believes in. He believes in a man should be a man. He believes that man should lead, women should follow. He believes that men should improve. He believes in not having negativity in your life. He believes that a man has to go through struggles in order to become the man that he needs to be. He says, you know, if you ever heard of stoicism and practice stoicism, life is tough. Deal with it. Put a smile on your face and go kick some ass. And the dude's a badass. And he talks about basically escaping the matrix, basically getting out of the system of government, the world global organizations, and just escaping from that and doing everything you can as a man to be the best man you can be, and the best version of yourself. A lot of the controversy surrounding him is kind of how he says, you know, a man's the leader, the woman follows him. If you become this upper echelon man, this great man, this high value man, yeah, you're probably entitled to multiple women. That's where people are saying, what? Okay, so a lot of controversy with that. He also basically, can I just read you a couple quotes right there and I'll get your thoughts on the other side. So specifically, this is what Andrew Tate has said about women. He says, number one, women are the most beautiful creatures on the planet. They should be protected and provided for. I would never let a woman pay for a bill, and I would fight 10 men if they disrespected my woman. He says this, let's talk about gender roles. A man has certain roles in society and a woman has certain roles in society. When we work as a team and we love each other, society is better as a whole. Respect. He said women, they're not as calm as men under stress. They can't fight like men, and they're not as good drivers as men. Basically, he caught a lot of slack about that. He said at the same time, he wouldn't drop off his children in an all-male nursery. He said that'd be very weird, okay? So he's got very strong feelings on traditional gender roles. A lot of his upbringing is in the Middle Eastern, so he's kind of more traditional, conventional, conservative type values. And a lot of people are offended by that, especially people on the left, especially people on the woke. This isn't a political show, but we're talking about Tate.
Does he share that he is religious in any way?
He says he's a man of God.
Man of God, but no allegiance to a specific religion.
He says he's an Orthodox Christian.
Yeah, I believe he's more of the Christian faith,
Okay.
but he has a lot of Muslim friends.
Okay.
And now he's got a Jewish friend, so shout out to the Jews out there. But Jen, you said you're somewhat familiar with him.
Yes. I mean, I've obviously heard the name. I've heard certain controversies. A lot of what you just mentioned, I don't see personally anything wrong with. However, I don't know his whole story, so I can't commit to, being in support.
You've seen his clips before, ever?
I've seen your clips with him,
Okay.
but the name, I've heard
Gotcha.
the name.
So what have you heard about him?
That he just basically what you said, that he's had some controversial things. I'm not big on more than one wife. I'll tell you that.
Okay, because he says he has 5.
Okay, and that's great. That's great for him. And something that I think we need to all keep in perspective with this whole man-woman thing, and whether we agree or disagree, it has a lot to do with our culture and where we're from. This man is from the Middle East.
Yeah.
No, he's from America.
Or he's
from America. He lives in Europe.
Romania?
He lives in Romania, though.
Okay.
But he has some influence of the Middle East, but he's not from there. But he does have...
What were his parents? What are his parents? Do we know?
Father was black American. Mother was white British.
Oh,
so he's an American Brit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would just say that I think a lot of it depends on our upbringing. Someone mentioned this earlier. Our upbringing, how we're raised,
Chelsea,
our culture,
our values,
where he has spent a majority of his life. I don't know if it was America or in the Middle East. I think that has a lot to do with everything, our way of thinking, the choices that we make. So again, while some of what you shared, I agree with, but I won't align either way with it until I know his whole entire
Gotcha.
story.
So what I respect about you is you're not just going to rush to judgment on somebody that you don't know. Let me find out. But that's the biggest problem with him. Meaning that's the biggest problem that he's dealt with is that a lot of people, we did a 5-hour interview. 5-hour interview. 98% of it, I'm like, yeah, totally agree. Okay. Maybe there was 2% of it where I was like, yeah, bro, but you did say da.
Right.
But someone will take that 2%,
Right.
chop it up. Andrew Tate hates women.
With no context.
With no context whatsoever. And that's that's what we live in today. And that's the sad, reality of where we're at right now, is that you could basically assassinate someone's character
In
with a
10
30-second
seconds.
clip.
Yeah.
Yep.
But taking that out of a 5-hour interview, and that's the problem today. So I respect the fact that you're not rushing to judgment on him because you haven't seen enough.
Yeah, and unfortunately in my industry, especially in the media, that happens, right?
Yeah.
One clip is taken and then a whole new story is created. And I think that's why I'm so aware and sensitive to making an assessment or a judgment without knowing as much about a person or a situation.
And I love that
as
about you
possible.
because you are in traditional mainstream media, legacy media, NBC.
Yes.
Yes, let's just leave it right there. Chelsea, you said you've never heard
I'd
of
like to
this guy.
stay there too. Yeah. No, I haven't. I definitely.
That's crazy because you specialize in social media.
I have to tell you though,
Yeah.
in order for talking about work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
In order for me to be as productive as possible, I really cut out a lot of noise on the day to day, and more than ever since juggling motherhood. So, yeah.
You're good, Chelsea. Jen Stang, apparently.
I'm saying,
Awesome.
I got help. Mommy friends are the best friends.
Round of
Take the
applause.
truck.
Round of applause for Jen. She's staying. This is the life of a mom. She's balancing.
Thank you to my friends.
She's
Shout out to
balancing
the
being
friends.
an anchor on TV, being a carpool,
It
doing a
is
podcast.
doable.
Look
It
at
is
that.
doable.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. I'm sorry for the interruption.
No, you're great.
We love it.
Chelsea.
Yeah, so
Go
no, I
ahead.
haven't heard much of him. I just hearing what you're saying here. I mean, obviously, I would want to know more to make a bigger opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But for someone to have such hard, does he say that women should also up level throughout their life too, or is it just men should up level? They should keep growing. Women should just stay.
He believes in traditional gender roles.
Okay.
The traditional gender roles.
Right.
And he basically thinks that Western civilization is crumbling because of feminism, for the most part, and wokeism. And basically, Rebecca can kind of weigh in on
Yeah.
that.
Well, I wouldn't call wokeism and feminism the same thing.
Okay, touche.
Yeah. But he's putting that in the mix.
But modern extreme feminism is kind of an element of woke culture, no?
A lot of it's intersectional.
Yes.
So you see you see Black Lives Matter, you see LGBTQ plus feminism. They all kind of
They put it in like the same melting pot.
Yeah,
Kind
they're
of
like-
And why do you
yeah,
think that
just-
is?
alternate thinking.
I guess to feed the bigger narrative. I don't know.
And what's the bigger narrative?
well,
Without us all getting canceled over here and deleted.
This is why
Control,
I told you
delete.
guys I'm very problematic. Okay.
No, I don't think it's
No, I don't think you're problematic.
No, we were talking earlier.
Yeah.
She was like, I was like, I piss people off on TikTok. But yeah,
Well, we're going to get to a clip we just saw you on
Don't
TikTok in
worry.
a second.
great.
So,
Perfect.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Great. I know. I think it just feeds the bigger narrative, and the thing is like with Andrew Tate, she didn't finish. Should she finish?
we'll go back to Chelsea. She ain't going anywhere.
So what I think is like, I don't think that he should have been canceled at all. I think that all voices need to be heard. Free speech is something that we should have, especially here. I know the laws are different in different countries and whatnot, but to be canceled like altogether and with all of these different companies, Uber, Airbnb, credit card companies,
Is that crazy?
I think that's insane. It doesn't matter if you are, Trump or Andrew Tate or whoever. I think that everyone should have the ability to speak freely. And that's the biggest issue I have with this, because what it happens is that a lot of these conversations, a lot of these feelings and things that people are actually, racism and all that other stuff is actually being manipulated, and now people can't see it for what it is, right? You have to mask it with terms and stuff like that. So being transparent and showing that to people, like if that's who he is, if he's truly a misogynist, I would rather have that blatant out there for everyone to see. That's
Was there a specific tweet or comment he made that
He's
was like,
made
this
many
is why we're
comments.
banning him?
he's made many comments.
Or just a compilation of comments?
There's the Andrew Tate thing is the Andrew Tate thing is a very interesting situation because he's been banned for multiple things. He talks about the Matrix and getting out of the Matrix. So that's something that he's getting banned from the woke left, whatever you want to call it, right? And then on the other side, it's the misogyny. Everyone's painting him as a misogynist because he's saying that, men should lead, women should follow. And then on top of that, he also proclaims to be an Orthodox Christian, and he has multiple girlfriends and things of that nature, and thinks that high-value men should exercise their options. That's what he's being canceled for, a slew of different things.
Well,
that he's
I
done.
asked him point blank. I said, if you could point to the reasons, if there were odds on why you were canceled, whether it's the misogyny, whether that's talking about women, talking about governments, talking about cancel culture, what do you think it is? He goes, no, it's the
men.
No, it's not the misogyny. It's the fact that he's calling out the governments.
Yeah.
And basically, and whether that's political governments or digital governments, YouTube, all kind of stuff like that.
And
he said that's why it is.
I would like to also make the point too, because he wants, I think his bigger mission is to help men be stronger, help men be, more masculine and step up. And I think that the broader society doesn't like that narrative being pushed. And also, he makes a lot of money. The man is a billionaire? I don't know.
No, he's got
multi-millionaire.
He's got
Okay,
millions.
multi-millionaire, right? The man's a multi-millionaire. He can do whatever he wants. I think that he inspires young men to also aspire to that, right? And so I also think that has been problematic in the broader picture because telling men to do better and be better has always been canceled. Look at Jordan Peterson. He was, he's labeled an incel or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the narrative that I think he is trying to basically assess is that the most dangerous people in the world are young men who don't have a job and don't have a girl. Those are the people that turn into school shooters. They're angry, they're upset, they don't got a girl, and his whole thing is life's tough, bro. Get in the gym, work out, get outside, make friends, network, make money, just get better. Okay, so think about it from if you're an 18-year-old kids are obsessed with this guy. Because think about it, they have no leaders. Who are the leaders that you look at these days, right? A lot of people might disagree with this, but basically he's saying that the new world order governments, whoever's putting in this basically propaganda machine, they don't want young men being strong and capable. They want them being fat, compliant, sitting on their phones, not working out, because those are the people who can revolt. If you want to go down this road of super takeover, I'm not trying to go there. But basically, if you're a young man and you've been told your whole life, if you're 18 years old and you've had a phone since you're 10 years old, you've had a phone half your life. None of us grew up with a phone in our hands. I assume your kids have had phones.
Oh, they have phones.
Exactly.
It's
so
horrible.
If you're 18, 20 years old, you've had a phone in your life for 10 years, okay, and you've been told, do everything on your phone. You can watch movies on your phone. You can work on your phone. You can date on your phone. You can do social media on your phone. You can make money on your phone, digital money, e-commerce. Everything's on your phone. And then COVID shows up. And even if you didn't want to be on your phone, too fucking bad. Now you have to be on your phone in the house. You ain't going anywhere. And a lot of people are on their phone. There's a lot of people that are basically saying, okay, and men are basically not becoming. They're just sitting around. I had a conversation with a 21-year-old kid yesterday. And I said, why do you like Andrew Tate? He goes, dude, without Andrew Tate, I would just be a loser sitting around. I wouldn't have anyone to push me. And that's basically what he's doing, is he's pushing young men to do better. And that's kind of the problem that he's saying. He's like, why do you get canceled? It's because if you believe in these conspiracy theories, I'm not even going there, is that they don't want men to be men anymore. They want it to just be compliant like girls and that kind of a thing. So that's kind of what's happening here. So Chelsea, you want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, it sounds to me that somebody is incredibly threatened by this guy, and the word of mouth has, that's why he's canceled from everything under the sun. I mean, that's like a I'm scared of him just for that reason, because why is he so threatening to all of those people aside from the messaging he's sharing, right? I think that we are so in need of more mentors and more, leadership for the next generation. And I think that there definitely are good mentors and good leaders, but we love the virality story.
Yes.
We love the gossip, the juice, we love everything that has a little bit of like a to it. And that's why Andrew Tate is we're talking about him right now, not, Steph Curry, right? Who is such an amazing leader and there for all the 18-year-old boys. I mean, how hard he got to hustle to be in the NBA. Look at what he does for philanthropic wise. He is such a support for his wife. My husband's going to be so proud of me that I'm using him as an example. But I'm just saying, there are so many male leaders out there that are not getting the attention because it's not as sexy of a story. So that's my problem. That's why I started Teen Talk Live when I was 16 years old. I was so bored of the narrative of millennials are lazy, entitled, narcissistic, the demise of the future, because that was the only language I heard when I was 16 years old. Mind you, busting my butt to get into college, wanting to be a success with my life. And I was like, where is the platform empowering me to do more, to do better, to be better? And that was my motivation behind creating one. Teen Talk Live. So we just are not putting enough of the spotlight on real leaders today. Maybe Andrew Tate has some moments of glory, right? When he's talking about be better, do better, life is tough, sometimes we do have to suck it up and keep moving forward because life is hard. Life is hard. But that doesn't mean that women shouldn't be doing that as well. I don't believe that, women not focusing on building up women is going to be the demise of the future. I think, let's look at the reality. Men have been in charge for how long, and how well are we doing right now? Not very well. We don't even know what it's like to have a woman in the White House, as the president. So we haven't even been given a chance, in my opinion, to lead, to rule, because men are so threatened by us.
Well, the pushback that you'll get from, you hear toxic masculinity, it's like, well, men, they're the ones doing all the problems, and they're doing harassing and raping the women, and they only point to the negative stuff, where it's like, well, men have built all the buildings, they've built all the cities, they've created all the inventions, they invented the wheel, they've basically built society. So if you only want to focus on the bad, then of course you're going to basically call it toxic masculinity. When there's a war in Ukraine and the Russians are coming to invade, who's running towards the Russians, who's going away?
I saw a lot of grandmas with rifles.
You didn't see many grandmas with rifles, Chelsea. You might have
saw
one grandma.
Maybe
one
two.
grandma.
Maybe
it's the men going into war, and it's the women and children who go to safety. On the Titanic, who got onto the lifeboats? Okay, women and children.
Yeah.
And
so
also, we want that.
You want what?
I want to be. I want. To be taken. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm out of here.
When it comes to physical ability, there are some women that can, put you in the ground, right? But men are going to be more stronger.
Yes.
So that makes more sense that you're the soldier.
The exception doesn't make the rule, though. Like Rebecca gave an example of an intruder came into the house. She'd want the husband to go deal with it, and if she's basically had the husband trembled behind her, the guy would be divorced in a second.
Yeah.
So this is where it gets into men are toxic masculinity. It's like, no, we're just men.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's good men, and sometimes there's bad men, and sometimes there's a gray area in between. But to kind of point out all men, the men are this, he's on the gym, they're being too tough, it doesn't necessarily work like that, right? I mean,
I totally agree. And the thing is, there's toxic femininity. There's toxic women out there too. There's bad men, bad women. There's good men, there's good women. I think that society and social media props up all of the negative because that's what gives us, like you said, the tea. People want to know. People want to have excitement. People want to have something to, argue about.
I just want to make a point that when we were talking earlier about Andrew Tate and his audience, and it's these young men. It's so much of it comes down to parenting, because why is there a kid from 10 to 18 years old who has spent a majority of his time on his phone? And trust me, I know it's hard because my kids are that age. Those are my kids. And yes, they are like this as often as they can. but you put on the time limits. Being a good parent is hard.
Yeah.
Being a lazy parent is easy.
Easier.
And I think so much of the problem, yes, there's society. Yes, there's what's on social media. Yes, there's what's on the news. But it's what's happening at home and what values are you instilling. And okay, so your kid's not an athlete. That's okay. Go for a walk with them. Like, make them sit down and read something. If they don't like books, find a comic book. Like, it's hard to be a good parent.
Yeah.
And I think so many people fail at being good parents. And I think so much of what we're dealing with young men and young women too, but because we're on the subject of young men, has to do with what's happening or not happening at home.
I would love to sit down with Andrew Tate's parents. What happened in his household growing up?
Or what was the upbringing?
Yeah, because I think that would be very interesting.
I want to double down on that too, because I think that once we, and this is, I mean, you guys can push back, once we removed women from home and said, like, you got to go to work too. Both parents now leave for work, right? The kids go to school. They learn everything from school. They learn everything from social media. And a lot of parents come home from work and they're like,
exhausted.
I'm so tired with the day. I can't even help you with homework.
100%.
And so I think that, raising kids is very difficult, as we've all mentioned, and it comes with the challenges. And that's why I think that that's why women should be at home to raise our sons and daughters, so that we don't have to find the social media influence like Andrew Tate to be like, yeah, that's the strong man because I don't see him in the house, right?
No, I agree. And just even though, Chelsea and I don't stay home in the same capacity that you stay home, but we have both rearranged our professional lives to be home more. And I remember, like, I had an aha moment, like, gosh, as guilty as I felt as leaving my kids when they were little, thank goodness I'm not leaving them now. Because these preteen, teen years are crucial. The foundation has to be set earlier, much earlier. But these years, as far as looking over their shoulder and knowing their business, and you're not going to know everything, but you've got to try.
Choices.
So it's interesting that we recreated what works for us to be home more.
And I think that also plays a part in the partners that we have, because they helped us do that. It's a team, right? And I do believe, look, if you want to have children consciously, then you got to be ready for the responsibility of raising a good human today. And it is a job, and being a stay-at-home mom, I think, is of a harder job in a way, because you're not able to like separate and come back and like kind of reboot.
It's 24/7.
Exactly.
No,
and I think it is absolutely like so honorable. But I do think that, the next generation of children, seeing mom and dad go to work and then seeing them come home and it being the family dynamic, then having conversations of who are you following? What are you looking at? Why is that interesting? Have you heard that before? It's necessary. It's necessary so that we don't see more bad things happening, like additional school shootings and such.
Can I tell you the number one thing that he said that a man wants when he comes home? The number one thing. I'm not being like weird over here.
Dinner.
Do you want to take a guess? You're saying dinner.
Dinner.
Okay,
Cooked
dinner.
meal.
Peace.
Okay.
Does he have children?
No.
No comment.
Oh.
I don't know.
I would say dinner.
Okay. Respect.
Yeah.
Men is basically what he's saying is like, men don't ask for a lot. Okay. Men want to go out, they bust their ass, whether they're a firefighter, whether they're in the real estate game, whether you're in sales. You don't want to come home and be disrespected or be challenged the second you walk in the door. You asked about Andrew Tate's father or parents. The father, he tells a story about the father would come home. He was a world-class chess player, and he would come home, and as soon as he walked in the door, the mom would be like, "You didn't do this, you didn't do this."
Well,
and
there you go.
And he would say,
"There you go."
And now we have it.
So
I'm telling you. And the father said, "Son, I can't do it. Look at this. I've been home for 15 minutes. I'm already getting yelled at. I'm out." And left. So obviously the family and the pedigree and the legacy, but it's not hard to just have a little respect. You hit the nail on the head. Is that you said your husband's love language is words of affirmation, and all that a man wants when they walk in the door is just say, "Honey, it's so great that you're home. I love you. How was your day? What can I do for you?" And that's all a man wants. They don't need you to do like dinner would be great. That's awesome. Amazing. But his whole thing is just have a little respect for the man. I think men have been disrespected. You're going to say, well, men have been, it's the patriarchy. And it's like, that's true also. Two things can be true at once. I feel like there's a lot of men who feel disrespected, especially by their women these days. And his whole thing is like, can I just get a little respect? Like Aretha Franklin was, but on the male version. You want to weigh in on this before we move on?
Yeah, I just want to say, I think it's because of modern society, women go to work, so women are saying equally, they're like, I want a little respect too. And that's the issue, I think, is where like, as a man, he's like, I just want respect. Men just want to come in the door and be like, I'm good. Like, I'm like, my woman loves me. She's here, blah, blah. And women, are tired. Women are exhausted. And that's why I say it's a refreshing life.
Okay. Before we move on,
if you choose it,
our friend Jen has to go. Guys, Jen, Eric, Jorge, Malik, whoever's out there, can you open the door? But before we let Jen go, Jen, we usually do this at the end of the show, which we call the happy ending at the end. Of course. And is there what do you want people to take from you, being a wife, being a mother, being a media personality?
Yeah.
What are your final thoughts before we spend the next half hour with our two lovely friends over here?
I think my biggest takeaway as a career-driven woman, a wife, a mother, you can have it all, just not at the same time. So you can be at the pinnacle of your career, but home's going to sacrifice. You can be hands-on at home, but then your career path may change a little bit. So you can have it all, just not all at the same time.
Love it.
Yes.
Guys, can we open the door for Jen? Oh, they did it. Jen, come give me a hug if you can. Don't leave us, okay, everyone else. We're going to be right back. Jen Herrera is walking out for a second. I'm going to give her a hug.
And while they're hugging, make sure you guys take a second to like today's video. Make sure you guys subscribe.
Plan it out a little bit earlier.
All right. Make sure you guys get that.
Thanks, Deli. Would you walk Jen out? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Deli, do we want to reposition the seats? We good? We just position
okay.
as is. Natalia, you want to come?
No, I gotta do the chat.
By the way, Natalia and I are doing another show tomorrow. It's going to be the first show that Natalia and I do. It's called Friday Q&As.
Yes.
We're going to be answering your questions. If you've got questions, we've got answers. But more importantly, solutions, whether it's money, dating, life, relationships, all of that. Natalia's going to be on the mic on the ones and twos. Anyway, that's that. Let's move on to our next topic here. Natalia, before I move on, is there anything you want to say or add? Did I miss anything?
No, nothing I want to say or add. Do you want me to read some of the chats at the moment?
Let's go for it.
Yes. Okay, so let's go through the chats. I know we've got some chatters. So we have another one by Zentense. He said, I agree with the ladies. Please don't settle later in life. Thanks to feminism and lack of traditionalism, now have access to high-value women with a lack of sensibilities. You have been helping men keep a rotation of lonely women. Thank you. Then we have marriage causes divorce. He says, does marriage provide any real tangible benefits for men? If so, what are they? Adam, what are your thoughts on marriage?
That'll be on Friday's episode. Save that question.
Mr.
We're going to be answering all your... See, this is the problem that we have because we want to spend time with our guests, but we also want to get to you and answer your questions. If I spend the next 10 minutes giving a dissertation on marriage, it kind of takes away the show.
Yes.
But Friday...
We'll answer that for you.
Yeah, but, my thoughts on marriage, I think it's a beautiful thing. I would love to get married. I think everyone should find love. I think it's a beautiful thing. You said about that your life is so much easier being married. You're happily married. I'll give my quick 2 cents. I had a conversation with my friend Dino, and he's like, when are you going to get married, bro? And I'm like, well, when I reach a certain status. And he's like, dude... Forget about money. Forget about status. Time is the number one thing. He's like, you don't want to be an old man raising kids. I was like, all right, cool. Let me get on it. So, Rebecca in Spain, if you're watching. Okay.
And then I have this one right here. It's from Aaron Delgado. What do you guys think about the fact that testosterone and sperm counts are down 60% over the last 60 years? It's a psychological and cultural influence and chemical. We are being poisoned. Women also birth controlled and the like.
Yeah, testosterone is definitely going down. I'm not the testosterone expert, but get your ass in the gym, get some sun, become a man.
Yeah. And then I have this last one.
Yeah, go.
And then it's Zen
Ents. Yeah.
There we go. I got you. He said Chelsea is very wrong. As women progress, they disregard men to lower status as evidenced by the 80-20 rule on dating apps. Most women find only the top 20% of men attractive. When a man improves, he elevates his woman with him, but not the opposite. That is to say, women can do whatever they want, and they should. But teaching women to be strong and independent, then expecting the top-tier man to be waiting for them in their 30-plus is delusional at best. Life is a choice, and you don't get it all. That was the last one.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay.
Any response?
play
Do you
with
want to
Chelsea,
respond?
buddy.
Do you want to respond?
Let's get into
Anything
these
you want to
topics.
say to that? Do you disagree? What would your for the side that is agreeing with you? What would you say for that?
I don't think that bringing up women, powering women is demasculating men. I'm not a dating app expert, so I'm not sure of that 80-20 rule. But I don't think you can generalize and go every single 35-year-old is only looking for the 20%. I think they're looking for their partner, their match, their genuine connection. I think that, we can't generalize and loop everybody into like one category here.
Right.
Okay. Let's get into the more, by the way, if there's kids in the room right now, remove them because we're going to go into the more risque part of the show right now. We're going to talk more dating, relationship, sex. Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's going to be some rapid fire questions. We got a video that we got to respond to featuring our friend Rebecca. I think you know where we're going with this.
Yeah, I do.
We'll start off with just a very basic question, and is can men and women be friends?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You don't think when a man is trying to become your friend? What about even when you're married?
Yes.
Okay.
Totally. I would say that I'm very good friends with a lot of my husband's friends. Yes, I think that there is. I think that I don't want to sound rude.
But I'm gonna sound rude. That's usually how that
Deep
works.
swallow.
But I'm going to tell you my honest opinion. This is right. It's all we can do. Share our own opinions. I think that when you are comfortable with yourself, and when you are happy with what you do, who you are, what you make, what you believe, when you are confident within yourself, you have all the room for somebody else who's also successful, confident, earns a lot of money. Anybody who is intimidated by a successful woman, even if they're the breadwinner, then that's insecurity in you. So I think there's a lot of self-reflection that has to go on for men who are so scared of women and threatened by women. Why are you so threatened by a successful woman? How are they really demasculating you? Because I'm pretty sure you're demasculating yourself. I'm pretty sure the thoughts going on in your head, your story is, well, a woman can't make more money than me. That doesn't make me look good. Well, if I need to be the breadwinner. This is all your story. We all have stories, and all of our stories are created by our experiences, by our childhood programming, by our religion, by culture, right? This is all helping to shape our thoughts and how we think and view everything. But if you are so intimidated by women and you are single, some self-reflection might do good. And is there something that you feel insecure about?
You're saying that's on you, buddy. That's not
on you.
Me.
Yes. And define, what are you insecure about? Is it your weight? Is it your job? Is it your hair? Is it your family? What are you insecure about? And is there a way that you can thrive in that? Is there a way that you can strengthen the weakness? Right? Because if you're strengthening the weaknesses, then you're going to build more security, more confidence, feel more stable, and a successful woman won't be threatening to you. She'll be attractive to you. She'll be sexy to you. I know that my husband finds me so sexy, finds me so attractive when I make the big checks. He's not threatened by that. He's fucking turned on by that.
Really?
I didn't even ask if I could
But let me ask you. Let me flip it. You're good. Let me ask you a question. Hypothetically, let's say you're killing it. You're bringing home the checks. You're doing it.
Yeah.
but your husband wasn't.
Right.
For not 6 months, not a year, for multiple years.
Why?
How? Okay, he was, can't hold a job, the economy, whatever you want to kind of put it out there. It's just one thing after another. Excuse. We're playing a game here for a second. You love your husband.
Yep.
But 6 months, I love you, honey. You'll figure it out. 12 months, babe, what is happening right now? 24 months, you're like, dude.
Yeah.
At what point would you be like, yeah, buddy, this ain't going to work?
Easy answer.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to understand the why you're not working, right? That has to be a valid reason, not just because you're lazy. And what am I seeing action-wise that I am seeing you try to get a job, try to make the money? If I'm not seeing action,
let's say he gets the job.
Okay.
Okay, so now it's not so much you can't hold a job. It's just that the job is paying him 40 grand, 50 grand, whatever, and you're making 250 grand.
Right.
Okay, how long are you willing to deal with that?
I think that's where is he pulling his weight more to justify that, really imbalance of income? Is he showing up in other ways that's compensating for a little less than of income?
He's helping more with the kids.
What would be a way that would suffice for lack of income?
Like action? Like, is he taking on more of the responsibility of the home, the laundry, the dishes, going to Publix, picking up the kids, dropping off the kids, making appointments? Like, if you're taking on that role, while I see you still trying to obviously pursue more in your career, then I'm going to give you patience. But it's action. If there's no action, and you're just giving me lip service or no lip service, then I have no. There's no patience for that. So it's all action oriented. You can give lip service to somebody all day, but what are they following up with action wise? And especially for all the singles out there, right, who are going back and forth on the dating apps and, I can't, I'd love to meet you for coffee next week. And then like they ghost you. It's like, words are words. So especially when you're in a relationship, it's not just words. It's also how you're following up with action to justify the way you feel, whether it's good or bad.
I think Chelsea killed that thing. Go ahead.
If they're filling up with action in other areas and you're putting more time into the work and stuff, do you think that that stress of work will put you in a position where those actions wouldn't at some point suffice for the lack of income?
I think that's where conversation and communication is so important, where you both sit down and you go, all right, honey, what is the strategy? Right? And that has to be a two-way conversation so that I'm in the loop of what you're trying to do to get out of the 40K, paycheck. And again, if I'm on board with your strategy and then I see you taking action on that strategy, I'm going to give you, right, a little bit of a longer leash because I'm seeing you put in the work. I'm seeing you take action.
When's the due date for that?
Yeah.
Like how long? Like,
I
is
think
it like a year, 2 years, 6 years?
Something to add to that.
Is a year.
A year.
Because a lot could happen in a year. A year is ample amount of time to find a job, kind of pivot, reboot. So a year feels good to me.
Okay.
And so if he ends up making, like, if you make $250,000 and he makes $140,000, okay, right. And now the kids are not getting picked up from school, the laundry's not getting done, everything's building up. What happens then? Because to me, what I often see and I hear from other men and women, that there tends to be a built-up resentment, right? And resentment is the key to destroying your marriage.
Yes.
And women seem to develop resentment more than men, faster, right? It's like they feel more disgust. We feel disgusted more, okay?
Disgusted when what?
Disgusted. Like, we feel repulsed by our husbands. We feel that they're not picking up the weight. They're not doing what they need to do. So that grows and grows over time to the point where breathing annoys you.
Right.
And
Where does that disgust stem from? Not pulling their weight, income-wise, around the house?
It becomes, well, that's why I wanted to ask is, at some point, the imbalance there, if he's making less money and also not picking up the weight, that creates that little friction, right? The friction causes the fire. And these things start developing, and then at one point you're just not talking to that person anymore.
Which is why communication is essential. Right, so if that little friction moment happens and you're just letting it fester and you're not communicating how that made you feel, right, that's going to build and build and build, and then you're going to explode and you're going to rip his head off one night. You have to have communication in a marriage. You have to have communication in any partnerships. Would you not talk to your co-owner of a company? That's what you are. You're literally co-owners of your marriage, right? And it's two people to tango. So you have to both have open dialogue and also not judge each other for within that dialogue, right? Like, can you create a safe space? Right? And are you able to really be vulnerable with your partner? If you're not able to be vulnerable with your partner, then that's not your partner.
Chelsea in the house. Let's move on to the next question.
Wait, I didn't answer it.
Oh, well, I got something better for you, okay? Because we've got probably 10, 15 minutes left, and I want to get to this, and then we'll wrap up. Unless you're dying to answer that question, men and women can be friends. Okay, anyway, I want to get into the sexier stuff, okay? So we've had some porn stars on the show. Yes. We've had some OnlyFans girls on the show. The sexual monetization of women is a real thing. OnlyFans, Instagram, Twitch, where you can kind of watch women play games, do that whole thing. That's a real thing, monetizing sex. But then, sex is now becoming something that it's, willy-nilly, all right, cool. And then I come across this thing called the body count challenge on TikTok. Mm-hmm. You've ever heard of this?
Yes.
You familiar with the body count?
Nope.
You can imagine your body count and how many sexual partners you've had. Your body
I was
count.
Picking up on context.
Okay, gotcha. Yep. So I'd like to play this clip of the body count challenge on TikTok, and I want to understand if the body count is sacred or it should just be wide open like this. Natalia, I believe you have a clip that you're going to play of this thing right here.
Of my voice.
Volume.
Okay, volume is up. Everybody sees it's up. And we're going to play.
So what is on the screen?
It says, How I Met My Body Count. Omegle, concerts, high school,
Gotcha.
At a stoplight, etc. and all the
So this girl right
Tinder,
here basically has a 33 body count. That's her number. And then Natalia, read where she met all her body count people.
Yikes. Omegle, concert, high school, at a stoplight, Instagram, brother's friend, high school, best friend, school, best friend's neighbor, ex-best friend, another ex-best friend, best friend's neighbor's friend, Instagram, other best friend, high school, Tinder.
Yeah, and then on the right side is just Tinder, Trader Joe's.
Best friends, childhood
and then a lot of Tinder.
And the bar. Bumble.
I'm impressed by the stoplight.
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty good.
So this girl...
Talk about hustle.
I don't know what that is. But anyway, this girl is just putting her body count, and she looks young, by the way. She's putting her body count out there for the world to see and exactly breaking it down how she met the dude. Mm-hmm. I assume that, okay. Or the other person.
Other person.
Or the other
partners,
person.
yes.
Got it.
These days.
That's traditional man right here. Just thinking that a man and a woman. There it is. I don't know. Call me crazy. Okay. Anyway, let's watch this video, and it features our friend Rebecca.
Oh, great. Can someone please explain to me why the hashtag body count challenge is now trending on TikTok and young women are posting their body counts for the world to see and scrutinize? This speaks to a broader issue that we're seeing on social media altogether, this form of narcissism that we're seeing in women. And it's telling when the fact that women are going out of their way to post their most intimate information for the world to criticize, scrutinize, comment on, demonize, all of that stuff. I urge young women to not post their body counts, not put yourself at unnecessary exposure, because I'm telling you, this is not going to help you in your long-term relationships. Because
okay, basically you're saying this ain't gonna end well good. For you. No. There's no upside to this. So Rebecca, what made you want to basically weigh in on this when you saw it?
Well, first of all, it made me very angry because as you've seen these young women and the TikTok challenge, women are just going out of their way to post this, and they're using it. They're propping it up and saying, "Oh my gosh, look at how progressive I am. Look at how amazing I am," and all this stuff. I don't, and to me that was like, why? Yeah. Why are you doing this? No one asked for it. Even if it was that, and here, listen, that's a lot. Okay, I'm sorry, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
Okay, but why are you posting it and wanting attention about it? Yeah. That's the question, and you always say why? Like, why are you doing this? And I think it's because a lot of women are seeking that validation, wanting that attention, that dopamine hit. Oh, I got likes, I got comments, and I got this, that, and the third. But the problem is like, your future husband could watch that. Yeah. Your future, partner, person, whatever, whatever you're into, is going to see that, and you're like, wow, should I get tested today?
Yeah, I see that as a huge cry for love
and help. Yes.
Yeah. Just, I want to be loved. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. I want to feel valued. And, I understand how it's empowering to some to have multiple partners, many of partners, but at the end of the day, when you love someone and you're having sex with them, it's totally different than the guy at the stop sign. Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It just, like you said, it just speaks to this broader issue that's like, wow, these, especially these young women, they're not loved. They don't feel that love. Yeah. And the fact that they will completely give themselves up to any single person, a person at the stoplight, a person at Omega. Like, Omega is like a weird date or a weird website that like people talk on. How is this happening? And it just scares me for the future, because if this is the trend, are we even going to value sex with our husbands? Like, is this even going to be a thing? Are people going to be so desensitized to sex that, it just, whatever.
Move in silence is what you're saying. Basically, if you're going to do that.
It's not even that. Don't move in silence. Don't move. Like, stop doing that. Like, stop giving yourself up to every single person. I'm sorry.
Or just keep it to yourself.
Well,
why do you got to broadcast?
Both.
There's a difference. You're saying there's three schools of thought here. It's more where you're going with this, like the less body count, the better.
Yes.
And
also
just
don't post it.
And don't. Oh, well, that's the third thing, right? Then, and I'm not saying Chelsea, but I'm just using a middle ground. It's do what you ever gonna do. Just keep it to yourself, right? Whether that's 3, 10, 30, I don't care. Just keep it to yourself. You're saying less the better. And then there's the school of thought that's like, do whatever you want, willy-nilly style, call her daddy podcast vibes, where it's just like, do it, own it, and post it.
Well, that's the trend.
And that's very dangerous.
Yeah.
That's very dangerous. With that being said, I actually did a video revealing my body count. Natalia, if you want to play it. I'm totally kidding, guys.
I was like, I don't have that pulled up. We're going to have to give
Natalia was like,
an hour to find.
Natalia's like.
Anyway, that would be... that'd be good. Anyway,
I want to challenge JG on the screen there. Is it me or Chelsea? Is Chelsea a little crazier than the other women on the panel? Adam, make a poll. Please explain. I'd like to know. Because he feels threatened.
He feels threatened. Sorry. JG.
I can't even see this chat.
You went there. Anyway, don't pay attention to that. Pay attention to me. All right, let's get into the last question and then we'll wrap up. Okay. You guys are married.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I was briefly engaged. I almost got married. Spent a lot of money on a ring. Got the ring back.
Good.
Lauren, if you're watching, I know you got remarried. I'm happy for you. Much love. I'm happy. I hope he treats you great. That's awesome. But I almost spent a lot of money on a wedding. But I didn't. I saved that money. Okay. And now I'm, saved up a lot of money. And then if and when I get married, we'll spend a little bit of that money unless I get married at PBD's house in the next 2 years. Anyway, so the whole thing. What's that?
I'll plan it like after party.
Thank you.
With Rebecca from Spain.
Oh, she's asking for a ring. The thing that I want to convey and get your opinion on is that a wedding is one day, a marriage is a lifetime. And I've seen a lot of women and a lot of couples treat this wedding as like, well, I want to go all out. I want to go big. I want to do it up. I want this to be the most extravagant wedding. I want this to be the wedding of the ages. And I've been at weddings like galore. In my early 30s, I was at a wedding every single freaking weekend of my life.
Yeah.
To the point where I was like having deja vu. It's like, have I ever been? Yeah, I was at this exact same place with this exact same thing, with the exact same rabbi, the exact same priest, the exact same thing. It's just two different people getting married. Okay, I was like, the commoditization of marriage. So for two people that have been married, you've been married 6 years. You've been married how long?
Almost 2.
Almost 2. And Jen's been married, she said 18 years. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay. The stories I could tell how we used to party at college, I won't go there.
Don't.
But Jen's a great girl. So how big was your wedding? How much did you spend? Was it worth it? Would you reveal sort of the benefits, the pros, the cons, and the costs of your wedding?
To be completely honest, I don't know what the wedding cost. My parents paid for it. And I was the first and only daughter. So my parents were very adamant about throwing.
They wanted to do it.
A wedding. I
do
mean,
it big.
St. Regis,
Wow.
Bal Harbor wedding. It was absolutely gorgeous. It was absolutely gorgeous. You know, it was over the top. I said, Mom, this is your wedding. You know, I'm the bride.
This is your wedding.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
what
because
like you run it.
all I cared about was who I was marrying,
Yeah.
and that my favorite people were there. You know, so I truly don't know. I don't want to know.
Really?
No,
Because
because they know that I would have never let them spend it. I think that look, you want to have a fun wedding, but like look past the wedding. And like, what does life look like, you know, once the wedding's done? And does that mean that you're in debt? Does it mean that you're in a, you know, studio apartment and maybe could have put a down payment on a house? Like, right. So like, look past the wedding first and then plan the wedding.
Yeah. I mean, 6 years later, how often do you think about your wedding?
I mean, you know, it comes up often because of how epic it was. Honestly,
It was that wedding, huh?
It was that wedding. It comes up.
Who's crazy now, JJ?
No, you know, I'm happy to say that it's something, you know, it's a memory that still feels super fresh, even though it's 6 years ago. But I think, you know, if someone gave me the option of like have a mega wedding or have a beautiful wedding, you know, more on the intimate side, and here's, you know, a down payment, I would have been like, yes, sign me up for that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So even in retrospect, you're saying my parents paid for the wedding. It was a big wedding. It was the big wedding.
Yeah.
If I could do it all over again, I would prefer maybe a little bit more intimate and save that money and put it on down payment on a house.
Yeah, and then my brother got married 2020, and me and Jordan had that conversation with my brother and his future wife, and, you know, budget and spend that budget on the wedding, or smaller wedding and save it. And because we didn't have the opportunity to have that conversation, you know, it's kind of like my parents were just so excited and like it was off to the races. And, you know, they did the latter. They did a little bit more intimate, and they're homeowners.
That's great.
And they're 28 and 29.
Wow. Good for them.
So,
That's
you
amazing.
know.
Thank you for sharing that. Rebecca, tell us about your wedding, everything that happened that day. James, if you're watching,
There's a
you know,
story.
Well, we
listen
were
up, buddy.
super sober because both my husband and I don't drink. So we remember everything. No, we got married in 2020, so COVID wedding. And
During COVID?
Yeah. I mean, no, like after. It was in October. So.
No, in COVID of 20. Yeah,
Yeah,
during COVID. Yes, that was
2020.
the height of COVID. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sure. So we had an intimate wedding and we paid for it. My parents, you know, things happened during COVID and 2020. A lot of people were struggling. And initially they were going to pay for the wedding. I was the last daughter to get married, so of course they wanted to go all out. I'm the favorite. I'm just saying. So they wanted to go all out, but unfortunately it didn't happen. And so we had an intimate wedding. It was beautiful. It was everything that I wanted. It was very lofty vibes. It was just gorgeous. It was with all of our favorite people. And I loved every moment of it. I still watch the video. Because it was just like so beautiful. The ceremony was so beautiful. Everything else, I was just like, I don't care. I just want to go like be with my husband. I don't really care about this. Like,
Love it.
y'all
Yeah, I
can do
think the reason that I wanted to ask this question is a lot of young people that are out there in serious relationships that are
It's
getting
stupid.
engaged, getting married, planning it all out, and they're going through, oh my God, the stress and this, the cost of this, to that.
Oh.
And yeah,
We spent only $20,000.
$20,000.
Amazing.
That's on
On
the low side of
everything.
things.
On everything.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some people spend $20,000 on the band.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
flowers,
Yeah,
yeah.
flowers
Okay.
and
So
whatever.
if you could, without putting numbers on it, say, all right, this memory from the wedding, whatever it was, I'd pay more for that. And then what do you remember? You're like, I don't know how much we spent on that, but we could have totally done without that. Do you understand my question a
Yeah.
little bit right here? So each of you, what would you double down on, whatever the cost is, spend that money, and where would you like, nah, save that money, it ain't worth it?
That we did.
Yes.
That we did already.
Yes. Basically, best memory, and then like a mulligan, like if a do-over, I would eliminate that, save that money.
I can go.
Go.
If you
Yeah.
want. Okay.
Go ahead.
The ceremony, I would take that and replay it like 50,000 times. It was so like intimate and beautiful, and we both cried. I would pay so much money to see that every single day. Okay. But after that, it was just, and the first dance with my dad.
Oh.
So those two, because I lost my dad right after. So, so to me, those memories, like my dad giving me away, and that I would replay that over and over and over again. And the ceremony, not the ceremony, the reception, I don't care. Like the food, I don't even remember eating. The dancing, it was fun. All of that stuff, like watching everyone get drunk, it's not cool when you're sober.
Yeah.
And just seeing everyone go crazy, you're like, okay, can we just get to the hotel?
You're saying you wanted to get it off.
I would pay for that hotel. I would pay for a sick hotel room and lay it down, okay? Just saying.
Congrats, James. So basically, you're saying you would double down on the special moments.
Yes.
Make the memories.
Everything
The
else is like,
reception, not the reception, the actual wedding
Ceremony,
ceremony.
yeah.
You'd have 3 dances with your dad if you could. And
So
then
many.
and then you'd spend more money on the hotel room,
Yeah.
less money on drinks, alcohol, food.
I mean, for me,
bullshit.
yeah, we
Okay.
didn't care about
Cool.
it.
Respect. Thank you
Yeah.
for being vulnerable and being real. Chelsea, do you have an answer yet? What would you spend more money on, and what would you save that money on?
I would save it on the quantity of people.
Yeah.
Like, cut 200 in half. That's 100 people less to pay for.
Okay.
That would make a significant dent. And what would I spend more on? Probably the honeymoon.
Yeah.
I'd make it longer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Honeymoon
The
Because it's
amazing.
like just this bubble of joy, and we did it for 5 days. Like I would do it for 10.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you never
Okay.
get that moment back.
I love it. So
Yeah.
hopefully young people out there who are in relationships that are contemplating getting married, you took it from this. What would be your best piece of advice for young couples in love right now?
Regarding wedding or period.
Ready, planning that next phase of their life.
Save money and just do a destination wedding and just have your honeymoon at your destination and just be done with it and be like, everything. Cancun, you want to do Cancun, party it up, go. You want to go to Turks and Caicos, get married in Turks and Caicos. I promise you're not going to have that many guests. And then just vacation for like 2 weeks in the Caribbean or whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
There you go. Just double down on your
and
put
save
your
money
wedding
for-
and your honeymoon all in the same place. You cut the fat, cut out the people you don't want to
Yeah.
be there. Save that money.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Listen, anytime
We
I hear
wanted
save
to
that
elope.
money, I'm involved.
We
There
wanted
you
to
go.
elope, but that was never going to happen.
Okay. Chelsea, best piece of advice for young couples in love who are planning something for their future.
Communicate. I have a handful of single friends and a handful of friends that aren't married but in relationships, and it's amazing the amount of phone calls I get to have conversations with me about the thing
Yeah.
versus are you talking to him or her about the thing? And again, that's the whole, I think that it's harder for men to be vulnerable, right? We've brewed men to be strong and the conquerors and the, breadwinners, but it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to share any insecurities or thoughts or even your actual what you desire, right? So sit down, have a conversation, lay it out there, recognize it as a safe space, right? Because you are sitting down, you are choosing to have this conversation together, because guess what? This conversation before you get married is going to be a lot easier than after you got married. If there's anything you got to flush through. Right? And are you on the same page? Do you want the same things? Do you do you have the same goals? Do you want to live in the same location? Do you both want children? Do you not want children? What religion do you want your children to be? All of these things should be talked about in a very clear, conscious, concise, sit down, let's talk it out, and then you will know if you're on the same page or you won't.
100%. Have the tough conversations up front.
Yes.
Patrick, PBD, CEO of Valuetainment, he recommends a book for every couple before they get serious. It's called 101 Questions to Ask Before You Get Engaged. Are you familiar with this book?
Yes.
Okay, and that sounds like basically what you're recommending is like, get it all out there.
Get it all out there.
Okay, you don't want to find out 2 years in. Hold on, you did what? You believe this? You want to raise your kids this?
No.
Hold on, I thought that you were what? Like that's not. You don't want to find that out after the fact.
No.
Yeah.
No, and that's time. That's wasting both of your time.
Yeah.
Right? You
Time
want
is
to have
money.
children. Your husband's telling you, he wants to have children. Then 5 years into your marriage, you're like, all right, babe, let's. And he's like, no. I mean, you both just wasted each other's time, and you just need to have the conversations, and they might be they might be awkward, right? But you're both there together, right? If you're going to be partners for life, you got to do awkward too, together.
Okay. Wrap up. Rebecca, final word. Chelsea, I think you killed it in the last couple questions. I don't know. You caught fire. I think JG pissed you off, and you're
All respect,
girl
JG.
on fire.
No, all
You want to
respect.
get the final word right here before we wrap up? Just life,
No,
love, marriage. There you go.
Premarital counseling. So it basically does the same.
There you go too. If you need a third party.
Premarital counseling. Flush it all out before you get married. You don't want that in marriage, okay?
No.
You don't.
Yeah.
There you go.
Flush it
Man, I hope you took some of that. All right, let's wrap up. Natalia, before we go, super chats, comments, subscribes, chats, all that stuff. Go ahead, Natalia. The mic is yours.
Awesome. Well, I will start off with a super chat. We have these right here, and we'll start with read Dr. Lauren, Proper Care, Feeding of Husband, and Proper
that's a
Care,
good one.
Feeding of a Marriage. It's a book recommendation. And then we have Midnight Z31. Here comes the shaming. We as men in general want to provide for our women. We don't want to fight for our lover after dealing with the world all day. And then I have Nas. He said, we support Rebecca.
Thanks, Nas.
JG replied. I don't know if you want me to read JG's
I can
comment
see it.
down. You can see it. I don't know
Take
if
the
you-
skirt off your husband. JG, did you know that skirts are trending for men right now? Go check it out. / my husband is not wearing a skirt. He's the most masculine man I know because he's able to be vulnerable. He supports me to the nth degree, and we tackle life together. So I don't know how you call that anything but attractive and masculine.
Love that. And then I'll do just a quick shout out to Kuman-san and Scott. They said, don't forget about me, Natalia. And they said some nice comments about me. Natalia is a wonderful female, representation of the brand. She do afters with Myron and Fresh. She's amazing, and etc. So thank you.
Who said that
I want
comment?
To, Kuman-san.
Yeah, well, maybe she'll be on Fresh and Fit pretty
Maybe,
soon if
I
we
don't
give
know.
a shout out to
Appreciate
Myron
the
and
love.
Fresh.
Appreciate it. I get a little shy reading my own comments on this.
They love Natalia.
But yeah, that's it for super chats. I think overall this was a great Soscast today. I think it was really informative for different perspectives for people out there. My advice for anybody listening, I would say be clear or do things to get clear on what you want. If you do want to choose a career path, know the sacrifices you have to take for that. If you want to choose a more traditional path, know the sacrifices you have to make for that. And from there, make your decision. Because no matter what choice you make, there has to be sacrifices on both ends.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my send off until...
See, this is why we love Natalia, and this is why Natalia is going to be getting her own show, co-hosting with me Fridays.
Yeah.
So let me kind of give the praises and sing it out. Number one, thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Chelsea, for being here. Thank you, Jen. If you're driving, you're listening. I don't know where you're at. But again, we do this show for you guys out there. We do this show because a lot of young men out there need direction. Well, I don't care where you're at in life, you could always improve. Don't have the pity party for yourself. There's always room for improvement to get better, faster, stronger, cooler, wealthier, sexier, hotter. All that men can improve. Women can too. But that's why we do this show. For you guys that understand what we're doing here on Valuetainment and what we're trying to bring value and education and world news and all that fun, good stuff, and mix it in with entertainment and laughs and loves and joy and all that fun stuff. Put it together so you feel valuetained. That's what we do here. Thursdays, we do this every Thursday, and we have beautiful, amazing people that come in our panel, guests. But on Fridays, it's going to be the Adam and Natalia show. We're going to be sitting here answering your questions. So if you are not following Valuetainment on Instagram, follow us on Instagram, and you'll see there's a post you can ask questions. If you're not following me on Instagram, Sos Talks Money,
and
go ahead. You can ask those questions.
Juicy questions.
And Natalia, your Instagram is what?
It's just my first
Natalia
and last
Del
name.
Valle on
Natalia
Instagram.
Del Valle.
Ask us questions. We're here for you.
All types.
There's people sliding in DMs. There's people leaving comments. It's great. We're missing it. We're not getting it. Do it on the chat on Fridays. That's where we're going to be answering your questions. And if you've got some really dope questions and you've got some real stuff that we need to figure out, we're going to be calling you to have conversations with you on the Valuetainment bat phone, okay, to answer your questions. One of the things we say is you've got questions. Not only do we got answers, but we got solutions. That's what we're doing here on Valuetainment. Last thing, if you have not subscribed to Valuetainment, if you have not subscribed to Valuetainment Money, if you have not subscribed to Valuetainment Short Clips, if you have not subscribed to the PBD Podcast, Jedediah, Valuetainment Comedy, we've got so much stuff going on right now. We just got the #1 video on the planet right now with Andrew Tate. Subscribe, like, comment, share, and it's all freaking free, bro. And this is the Valuetainment that we're bringing your way. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. Thank you guys for listening. We are out. And as always, we'll send it off with Save That Money. You know how we do. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 4 o'clock, live Soscast. We'll see you then.